We unmuted. President Griffin, just a reminder, and trustees, we are live as we're getting set up for our meeting to start. Just wanted you to know.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
So we got booted.
We're still live. We're
I
gonna.
know.
Yes,
We're
we are
recording
live.
here. And we're recording. So since we were unable to finish closed session, I am going to ask that we continue the closed session after this meeting
Okay, we will
to resume.
reconvene closed session after this.
Okay.
Aurora for.
Ms. Chalkley, are we set to go here?
I have promoted everyone who is here for the National Merit Scholar Program. I think we're still missing Ms. Arbizu and Mr. Gilbert.
Okay, let me text them.
Oh, there's Mr. Gilbert.
Oh, there he is.
I predict Ms. Arbizu will arrive just in time. It's 6:29 now. I just texted her, so if you see her, let us know. Paul, I'm putting you on notice that if Valerie's not here, since you're next in the alphabet, we'll do it alphabetically here. So we'll go Burlingame, Hillsdale, Mills, and San Mateo. Okay. Did you promote Lee?
We did.
Okay. Ms. Andrade Zuniga, are you on now? We just promoted you. I see you there. Okay. All right. You're on mute.
Yes, everything.
Okay. All right. I think we have the entire board here. And is that right, Ms. Chalkley?
If you'll bear with me just a moment, I've been promoting the merit scholars. Perhaps Ms. Aquino could tell you if the whole board is there.
Yeah, I believe we're all here. Okay, so I'll start, and I'd like to just make a few introductory comments. My name is Kevin Skelly. I am the district superintendent, and every year we honor the National Merit semifinalists for their accomplishments. This is based on, actually it's based on the PSAT in normal years. And last year was in fact a chance to take the test. So this was October of 2019 when these students were juniors. Now they're all second semester seniors. And we continue to bask in the glory of these outstanding students. And we found that there's a very close correlation to, or we often see that students who are National Merit semifinalists are also some of our leaders on campus, our students who make outsized contributions to our community and are really important to the fabric of our school. Our school district is a place that where learning is prized, and these are students who are creative, who excel both academically, but also make contributions in co-curriculars and the like. In a letter to these folks earlier, when we invited them on March 22nd, I wrote to them and I said to their parents, it goes without saying that your student possesses extraordinary gifts. While they should be justifiably proud of their talents, we hope that they see them for what they are, gifts. And these gifts are not just theirs, but they're meant to be shared with the world to make it a better place for all. I hope that your family has some conversations about this topic, and I've received some emails back from families reflecting on this. So we're really proud of you. We want to honor you tonight. We're glad that parents are here, that others may be watching on YouTube. It's being recorded on YouTube. So perhaps there are relatives there. And on a normal year, we would have that meeting in the boardroom. Parents, siblings, grandparents, friends would also be in session. So we want you to share this honor with with the rest of your family. We hope that you students will thank those people who have been part of contributing to your success, not necessarily tonight, but we're going to hear now from the principals we're going to say very short comments, and then we'll open up to the board to also make some comments. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, Ms. Arbizu, and we'll go alphabetically to honor the 22 folks that are here tonight, if they're here. Greg, you have your hand up.
Just a formality, but Bob has to open the meeting before we can get started.
You know, I had a script. The superintendent said everything he needed to do. I think what I'll do is I'll just proceed with roll call so we can open the meeting. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, are you present? We know you're here. Trustees Lee
I am
Dwyer.
present, sorry.
Thank you. Trustees Lee Dwyer,
Present.
Trustee Land,
Present.
Trustee Hanley. You're muted. You're present.
Yes, here.
Okay, and I'm here, so we have a quorum. It said we can do Pledge of Allegiance, but you've teed up the presentations by the school, so we think we'll do that, and then we will absolutely, I assure you, pledge allegiance. So
Ms. Arbizu.
Okay, you got it. Good evening, President, the board, our board members, Superintendent Skelly, the cabinet, and all of our guests tonight. I am thrilled to be here to talk about the National Merit Scholars from Aragon this evening. I have a bit of a list, and so I'm humbled to be able to talk about all of these students tonight. Our first one is Evan Chang, and asking some of their teachers how they would describe the students was a lot of fun. So he has been described as one of the most disciplined students in my entire teaching career. He is driven, conscientious, strong, highly brilliant, and likable, which is good. The way he codes is a computer science teacher's dream. So I'm expecting Evan to do great things in tech. Our next student, Shelby Cherkis, it has been described by one teacher as an intellectual laser. She is confident, capable, and a skilled academic who excels in her math and science courses. She is also, you've gotten to know Shelby a little bit because she was also one of the students who represented our students on the board. She's been our robotics president. She is a force of nature. I'm looking forward to what she does as she moves on beyond our high schools. Eric Gann has been described by his teachers as incredibly thoughtful. He's curious, responsible, and hardworking, and he really focuses his academic excellence and pursuits on making his community a better place. So he's the whole package. He's an academic and a humanitarian. My next student is Howard Hong. And he has been described as an incredibly thoughtful, curious, responsible, and hardworking young man who focuses his academic excellence and pursuits around the human connections he makes as well. He's an academic scholar, but he also volunteers for local hospitals. He's an athlete, a research intern, and he's an amazing support to other students in the community. So expecting some pretty remarkable things from Howard. My next student is Allison Lee. She's a really thoughtful young lady. She's an excellent student. Her peers and her teachers often comment first on how quiet she is, but they're like, that doesn't mean that she's not confident or have amazing ability. She's instead a really deep listener and thinker, kind of taking in what's happening around her and making that kind of her superpower, if you will. And what her teachers have noted as being incredibly remarkable, not just her achievements in the humanities, but she's outstanding in STEM disciplines too. So she is a well-rounded student, and she's become a nationally ranked high school programmer. So we'll see how far that takes her, which should be really far. My next student is Kevin Wren. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I got a little bit out of order. My next student is actually Randall Liu. One of his teachers describes him as a dream student. He's creative, very intelligent. He's curious and articulate, and he's very pleasant. They often note how well he works with other students who are struggling in mathematics, because he has just excelled in mathematics at Aragon and gone through the multivariable calculus program, and he just continues to thrive. My next student is Kayla Shao, and her teacher describes her, one of them describes her as a force of nature with a smile. She's always prepared, proactive, and professional, yet never falling for toxic perfectionism, which sometimes is one of those things that can get in the way of our students. She's always looking for ways to engage with her teachers and teammates. And then she is part of our Outlook staff, and she's always looking to help other students improve in their journalistic qualities, which keep going with that, Kayla. It's good to be a supportive person on your team. Kevin Wren is another one of our honorees tonight. He is described as being a really strong student and works really well within the community. He's friendly and dependable and compassionate, but what I liked most about hearing about Kevin is he tells a story about how he likes to volunteer weekly at a food bank, and he does this with his dad, and they will get together and deliver food for 4 hours every Saturday or Sunday to make sure that families in the area have what they need. Danny Rose is my next one, and he is described as one of the most exceptional students one of these teachers has taught in their 24 years of teaching. They describe him also as a Renaissance man. So apparently he was a little shy and completely came out of his shell, and has been singing in school musicals and the choir. He's taken on leadership roles. I met him as the president of the Triumph Music Honor Society, and he's also the president of the Aragon Music Project. So I'm curious to see what he decides to follow as he goes through. And then my final student of the evening is Lucy Yin. One of her teachers describes her as incredibly compassionate. She's involved in several clubs and activities on campus, and they're all focused on strengthening community and improving the lives of the health and community beyond our campus as well. She is also one of our student body secretaries. She's been the Health and Wellness Commission head. She's following her curiosities and is genuinely interested in the world around her. Another teacher described her as a triple threat: attitude, academics, and athletics. And he's like, she is just fantastic. My final student, I'm sorry, I got a little alphabetically out of the way here, is Vincent Smetana. His teachers talk about him being an incredibly intelligent and bright young man. They really love working with him and everything that he brings to the table. He's another one of our deep thinkers and can go a little quiet sometimes, and then will, make sure that he's in the room with flashes of brilliance. So I had a long list, and it was really cool to get to know a lot of these students, and I'm really excited to see, what they do as they're moving beyond. And this is a big deal, national merit. Thank you so much.
I think, Paul, you're up next.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Superintendent Skelly, and all our guests tonight. I am excited to introduce 4 Burlingame students and really want to congratulate all the students being recognized this evening. Our first Burlingame student is Hubert Chen. Hubert is especially interested in STEM-related areas and has been actively involved in our BHS World Champion Robotics team since his freshman year. At BHS, Hubert has also been a member of the swim team and is a senior reporter with the school's student-run newspaper, the Burlingame Bee. Hubert has indicated he plans to study mechanical engineering and is in the process for considering his college options. And when we asked who he'd like to kind of recognize and thank, he said he'd like to thank his parents, his family, Miss Wade, his robotics teammates, and the industry mentors who've helped mentor his interest in engineering and the robotics team. Our second student is Wesley Larlarb. Wesley is actively involved also in the BHS robotics program. He's also a member of the jazz band and the Stanford Jazz High School music program, the Jazz High School program. Wesley is an avid pianist and drummer and recently released his first EP or extended play or mini album entitled Banana Cycles. The Jazz Funk Collection explores aspects of Wesley's junior year from school to friends and bananas and bikes. He also has a new fan in Dr. Skelly, who I know reached out to him to ask a little bit more about his musical endeavors. Although he has not finalized his college plans, he does plan to study computer science and continue playing music. In addition to thanking his parents, Wesley extends his thanks to his teachers, Mrs. Yamamoto, Miss Miller, Miss Wade, and Mr. Bennett. Our third student being recognized tonight is Thomas Luxton. Thomas is passionate about writing and has a career goal to become a writer. He has a vast personal library with works focused primarily on the short story genre. Thomas has written collections himself of short stories and is working on several novellas and has also participated in many writing competitions. Thomas has been accepted to Humboldt State University in their writing program for next year and is excited to pursue his interest there. He would like to thank several people who've helped him reach this milestone: his father, Miss Sharon Blevis, Miss Lori Fromowitz, and Miss Chelsea Chang. And our fourth student is Miss Grace Shin. Grace describes herself as a math and computer science girl whose favorite subject in school has always been math. That this passion led her to becoming an instructor at a coding camp where she shared her knowledge and enthusiasm with other young students ages 8 to 12. Grace is actively involved in band as an alto saxophone player and has played BHS and club soccer. She is considering her post-secondary options and looks forward to joining an intramural soccer team wherever she goes while in college. She extends her thanks to her parents, her brother, and her sister. All four of these students are not only exceptional students, but following Mrs. Arbizu's kind of comments, they are exceptional members of our campus community, and we are very proud to have them and represent Burlingame High School. I congratulate them all and thank you for this opportunity to recognize them here at the board meeting. Thank you.
Jeff. Mr. Gilbert.
We have two students who are I am grateful to be able to honor tonight. The first is Marcus Chang. Marcus is one of our valedictorians this year. He is also a member of our varsity cross country team, and not only that, completed a 50-mile ultra marathon last summer.
Wow.
He is our #1 singles on our tennis team and our robotics team captain. He is obviously extremely well-rounded and a wonderful member of the community. His favorite subjects are math and physics, and he does plan on majoring in mechanical engineering. One of his teachers said about him, he's one of those rare students in higher level high school math who's exceptionally strong both procedurally and conceptually. And as you would expect, he works relentlessly, but what you might not expect is the humility and commitment to teamwork he brings to class every day. He is quite simply a joy to teach. And I think that reflects our experience with Marcus at Hillsdale. Our second recipient is not here today. He is at water polo practice. Adam Oshurovitz is also a valedictorian. He has completed all of the math classes, not only at Hillsdale, but all the highest level at CSM as a senior. He participates in our Science Bowl, not only playing water polo, but also lacrosse. He's the goalie on both of those teams, and he plans on majoring in math. And I have had the great fortune of being his advisor for the last year and a half. And his gifts in math are extraordinary, but I'm much more proud of him and just watching him grow as a young man over these last year and a half, and very excited about seeing him go off to college and succeed in remarkable ways. So congratulations to both of our recipients.
Let's see, Pam, Ms. Dzinski.
Good evening, President Griffin, Board of Trustees, Dr. Skelly, Cabinet, and National Merit Scholars. It's my honor to recognize the very talented Megan Kelly. Megan, you're welcome to turn your video on if you'd like to. She is the Mills High School National Merit semifinalist that we're recognizing this evening. And she is joined by her father, who I know is listening, Peter Kelly, and her mother, Susan McAllister. While Megan exceeds in all academic areas, she is most passionate about her participation in our drama program, performing in all of our productions, all 4 years of her high school career. Her favorites being Noises Off and Beauty and the Beast. And you can catch her at the upcoming Mills virtual production of The Addams Family, where she plays Grandma. Megan's teachers and school counselor note that Megan is personable, engaging, empathetic, community-focused, and she leads by example. She is a talented writer, performer, creative problem solver, and a strong mathematician. In her future, Megan hopes to explore all of her possibilities and aims to work with community-minded groups of people on impactful projects that build relationship and connection. Congratulations, Megan. You have a bright future ahead of you. Thank you for recognizing Megan and all of our scholars this evening.
Ms. Hsu.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Superintendent Skelly, and members of the cabinet. My two students from San Mateo High School are both here, and I would like to invite them to turn on their video so that we can put names to faces. It's probably not something that they are used to doing in a Zoom classroom, I believe some family members are with them. So I invite you to do that so that we have names to faces. There they are. Awesome. Congratulations to all of our students for their fine accomplishments, and I wish you the best. Our first National Merit finalist is Safik Dersala. In addition to being a math tutor and a teaching assistant, Safik is the president of our Science Bowl Club, so you can tell that he is very focused on the sciences, and has been a volunteer coach for the Special Olympics. Safik was nominated for a 2019 Special Olympics of Northern California Volunteer of the Year. Safik is also, as well as our other National Merits finalist, Arnav, and other Science Bowl members are currently trying to organize a remote contest for our middle schoolers on the peninsula as a fundraiser for the Science Bowl. So congratulations, Safik. Arnav Gurudat is our second National Merit finalist. Arnav has a wide variety of interests that include data science, economics, public policy, and entrepreneurship. Arnav co-founded a social enterprise dedicated to providing therapy training kits for students with autism. Last summer, Arnav worked under the guidance of a San Jose State University professor in using statistical software to analyze the effects of immigration, welfare, and healthcare policy on outcomes in the labor market, of which are all hot topics currently and happening now. Arnav is also one of our valedictorians. In his free time, Arnav enjoys playing basketball, cricket, and watching Jeopardy with his family. So congratulations, gentlemen. We wish you the best. Thank you very much.
That concludes our National Merit Scholars. Congratulations to all of you who are giving you virtual clapping right now. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you. Does anyone from the board wish to make a comment? Trustee Land.
I think Ms. Zuniga, Ms. Andrade Zuniga is before I am, but.
You beat her, but.
Oh, I beat her? Okay, sorry, Leah. I just want to say congratulations to all of you. I think, you know, in this difficult time of the pandemic, it's so hard for the board to hear what's going on and connect with the students. And just principals, thank you so much for sharing what you did about each of these students. It's incredible to see what work they're doing, how involved they are, how academic oriented they are. I'm just very proud of all of you. The one thing I will say is I really miss the in-person, seeing the students and seeing who they are, because just to see you guys and just hear about you is just incredible. So as one of the board members, I just want to say we're very proud of you and you should be very proud of yourselves. Best of luck to the future and congratulations on being National Merit Scholars.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Yes, thanks, Greg. I am so proud of all of you and your support systems as well. Thank you for supporting our students and getting them to this point. You all should be very proud of yourselves. These are some of our favorite, our favorite things to do on the board and our favorite parts of being in education and in this type of leadership. You just see the fruits of everyone's labor and of everybody's support. So thank you and congratulations, students. Felicidades.
Does anyone else wish to comment? Okay, I want to thank everybody. Trustee Hanley.
Yes, I would just join with the others and congratulating everyone that became a National Merit Scholar. It's incredibly hard work and dedication to reach that level. And I also miss being able to see people in person and recognize the achievements, but I appreciate all the principals bringing forth the individual accomplishments tonight. Thank you.
Trustees Lee Dwyer.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay. So traditionally, you and your families would be at the meeting and you would have cake and you'd have a chance to talk with the other students and some beverage. And it would be really nice because you get to kind of mingle with each other and talk to each other, particularly students from other schools, because you generally don't interact. But tonight we're doing this virtually. And the kind of sad part is that I'm looking at a bunch of letters like K and S and B and M, and I don't see you, but you see me. And I would like to see you, but I understand. So that's okay. But the one thing I think that you all have in common is that you're never give up people, and your never giving up has brought you to where you are. And I would encourage you to take that with you. Never give up. If you believe in something, never give it up. If you want to learn something, never give up. If there's something you really want to accomplish, never give up, because then you'll do it and you can do it. So we believe in you and we wish you, I, as a trustee, wish you the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Now that we've all dusted off our graduation speeches from many years ago, I want to thank the students and their support group, whether it's parents or siblings or whatever. The thing I noticed that all of them are gifted, and that's to be expected. And I think they all had a variety of talents, and it was very surprising, that they just, did not focus singularly on one thing 100% of their time. So they're more, if they're not completely well-rounded, they're very, they're on their way to being well-rounded. And I'm sure they were all diligent and hardworking. They just, they just didn't show up one day and accomplish all this. And the thing that was really touching was their caring. Seemed to be a very caring group. And, that's hard to find, particularly overachievers. They're normally focused, very focused singularly, but there was, they're caring people here. And I really appreciate that. And that's what it takes to change the world: the talent, the hard work, perseverance, and the caring. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming out. You are welcome, more than welcome, to sit here for the next 2 to 3 to 4 hours and attend the board meeting. So we will get on now. If no one else has comments, we will get on now to the business. And I'm going to ask the superintendent if he would to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we start the second part of the meeting, we have our Spanish interpreter this evening, Su Yan. For those
Yes.
of you.
I say yes, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. For those of you who would like to listen to the meeting in Spanish, that option is available. And if, Su Yan, if you can please communicate that we will open the interpreter room.
Ok. Si necesitan escuchar esta orientación en español, por favor presionen abajo donde diga el botón en español para escuchar todo en español. Muchas gracias.
Okay. There is no items to report out from closed session this evening. I would like to ask our board members and members of the community to join me in a moment of silence to remember two members of our San Mateo Union High School District community who passed away recently. On March 24th, we learned of the passing of Dr. Pam Wright, a former Mills Viking teacher. Pam served as a special ed teacher and department head at Mills for over 3 decades, working here from 1978 to 2012. She was known for guiding and in some cases recruiting young teachers, showing respect for all. Pam is remembered by the Viking staff as a fierce advocate for the special ed department, and it was clear how much she loved her work and the kids she served. Pam was always positive, confident, and strong, and her colleagues appreciated her humor and joy. Generous and welcoming with a no-nonsense approach. Pam left a legacy at Mills, putting her mark on the school and all those she touched. Pam Wright will be greatly missed. Sadly, we learned of the passing of one of our 2018 graduates from Hillsdale, Haley Takeda, who died following an automobile accident recently in San Diego. She was a senior at University of San Diego. Haley was an active and beloved member of the Hillsdale community and Kyoto House. She was a leader in the dance program. Our hearts go out to her family and all of the dance ensemble community and to all the teachers who work with Haley. Now I ask that we observe a moment of silence for these two members of the community. Thank you. Are there any public speakers?
We do have a number of public speakers tonight. So first up is Smu Hsd Awareness. And then would you like me to, I can, after that, I can give you the list.
Let me give the standard legal language here. This is a public meeting of the San Mateo Union High School District Board of Trustees. If you wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during the public comments section at the beginning of the agenda, please send an email to comments@smuhsd.org with your name, email address, and your Zoom name, if different, and the item under which you would like to comment. The board president will call on you. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending upon the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. Okay. We have public comments at this point, Ms. Chalkley?
Yes, we do. So I can just call on them one at a time if you like. That might be easiest. So first we have SMU HSD Awareness.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Skelly, and all attendees. I am a member of SMU HSD Awareness, an Instagram account run by students and recent alumni that posts anonymous stories submitted by members of the school district. We post these stories in order to bring awareness to the discrimination and the lack of response that occurs at our schools. As students begin to return back to school in person, we believe administrators, teachers, parents, and students need to stay aware that there is hate on campus and know that finding a solution is critical. The following stories were submitted by students on SMU HSD campuses. I want to give a warning about the following story as it mentions suicidal ideation, self-harm, sexual assault, and rape. I want to reiterate that this is a story that someone submitted and it is not my story. Quote, a couple of years ago, I was raped by a friend I thought I could trust. At the time, I was suicidal and self-harming on a daily basis. I had already made a few attempts, but after I was raped, I tried to kill myself and ended up at the ER. When I was released from the hospital, I reported him to the school district and the police, but there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. I was forced to attend school with him until I switched school districts. I wanted to share my story here because it shows how effed up the system is. Victim blaming and rape culture is prevalent in today's society, and I believe that that's something that needs to be changed ASAP. To all the girls who have been sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, raped, or made to feel uncomfortable in their own skin, I am so sorry. We need to change, unquote. The following story mentions anti-Semitism. Quote, sophomore year, I received a note in my PE locker around Valentine's Day. The note was red and said, "Be mine, Valentine," with a Hitler image on it. I am Jewish, and nobody else that I know of received this note in their locker. I proceeded to tell my PE teacher, who responded, "Would you like me to translate the note?" And I answered, "No, the note has Hitler on it and I'm Jewish." She said, "Oh, wow," and did nothing else. So I ended up reporting it to the school. And a few weeks later, my guidance counselor brought my mom and I into her office to make sure I was okay. What frustrates me the most about my story is the reaction of my PE teacher, because even if I was not Jewish, receiving a Hitler note in your locker is disgusting and wrong on so many levels. The anti-Semitism at BHS upsets me, and I believe the administration does not address the issue to the extent of its presence within the school walls. I hope my story brings light to this issue and creates positive change, unquote. These stories are just 2 out of hundreds we have received. It is obvious that discrimination is alive and well in the district and needs to be handled immediately in a systemic manner. Although these are individual stories, it is more important to solve the problems of systemic discrimination, including sexual assault and anti-Semitism, at the root of the problem. If there are any students or young people listening, we urge you to speak up against injustices in your school and share your story. To the adults, especially the administrators listening, we hope you can see the hate on your campuses and take action with us through equitable policies. To the district, we hope you will translate these words into policy and accountability. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tyler Mosshund, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, Tyler.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm a junior at Burlingame High School, and I would respectfully like to ask the school board to allow indoor sports to occur this school year. Due to COVID, I have missed out on many things, and I would hate to lose a sports season as well. Sports have helped me in many ways develop as a young adult, and taking this away is preventing me to continue to develop. It's extremely frustrating that we aren't allowed to have a contact practice or a season at this point, while other schools in our area, such as Sarah, Menlo Atherton, and Palo Alto, are preparing for a season. I'm really hoping that we can have some sort of a season, because I've been looking forward to getting back to some sense of a normal life. And I know many people have been trying to push for us to have a season. I only have 2 years remaining in high school, and I hope that the last 2 years I'll be able to play basketball. During COVID, I have safely practiced and played in AAU tournaments all across California. And football at BHS has also managed to find a way to safely have a season that makes sure the safety of the athletes is kept as a priority. I'm able to go out with friends and eat at places that have indoor dining, yet I cannot play on a basketball court with the same people. So in conclusion, I would like to ask that you please allow indoor sports to proceed and have a season this year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Melissa Para.
Hi, thank you. And thanks to Dr. Skelly and the board for all that you do. Although I'm a parent of a basketball player and have some references specific to basketball, I'm actually advocating for all the kids in our district that play indoor sports. In February, the NFHS green-lighted all sports. They went on to say that most COVID-19 transmissions in youth come from social events, not during practices or games. Indoor youth sports across the nation have been allowed to compete this year at all levels. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm sure many of you will be watching the Final Four.
No problem. The light would be good
our
too.
house. 46 states have completed their high school basketball seasons. 46 states, 43 had state championships, and there were no noted COVID outbreaks in any state. Of course, in California, we had a bit of a slower start, but thanks to the committed coaches and parents consistently lobbying for kids, they are actually now allowed to play all sports, even indoors. As long as our district meets the 4 safety requirements, we can play. 3 of the 4 are already happening because of other sport protocols and in-person learning. The 4th is testing, and we have a testing company that the athletic directors and staff are excited to work with. They will do all the work at absolutely no charge to the district, families, or schools. Our neighboring districts have all approved and are moving forward with playing. The PAL has a schedule and our district is on it, but we are not green-lighted to play in our district. Many of us received notes today from Dr. Skelly informing us that there is a hope for an intra-district truncated season, no traditional PAL league, and no spectators. Is it better than nothing? Absolutely yes. However, the big question is if the PAL does not approve this route, since they already created the schedule, is there a plan B or are we back to nothing? We need to have a plan B. And where's the science to say that it's safer to play within our own district if all players are being tested at every school? And where's the science to say that parents spaced apart in a gym that has the capacity of hundreds are being unsafe? Please don't get me wrong. I'm extremely grateful that we are trying to get indoor sports back. The efforts of Dr. Black, the ADs, and the coaches is extremely appreciated by all of the kids and parents. But our job as a community is to continue to advocate for our kids that have already lost so much this past year. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Next speaker is Rob Urich and Ava Urich.
Hi, my name is Ava Urich. I'm a sophomore on the girls varsity basketball team at BHS. I am proud to be a Panther and I want to represent our school and district. My hope and goal is to play at the collegiate level in 3 years. In order to do this, I need access to compete against other athletes nationwide, other athletes who are allowed to play now. Of course, academics is important, but I'm going to be honest. Sports is one of the biggest draws to my pursuing of a higher education. Please don't deny us athletes this opportunity. Let's not be the district that is defeated and surpassed by our competition. Let's focus on being champions. I hope you reconsider and let us play. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Hope Loy.
Good evening to the Board of Trustees, Superintendent Skelly, and all attendees. My name is Hope Loy. I play on the girls varsity basketball team at Hillsdale as a sophomore. I would first like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Today we celebrate going back to school for the first time in over a year, and we've been waiting and hoping patiently for a basketball season in addition. Basketball season is not only good for physical health, which we all probably need after sitting around for a year, but mental health as well, which is very much needed for all of us after spending constant hours on screens during the day. We as a school and community can make indoor sports safe for everyone. All the indoor sports teams have been taking every safe opportunity to get ready for the season, whether it's mask on practices or even just team bonding. With all the right precautions followed, I'm here to urge you to say yes before spring break to move forward for athletes to play indoor sports. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sean Richardson.
What's up, everyone? My name is Sean Richardson. I'm a junior at Burlingame High School. Today, I just want to be asking also if you guys can have an approval for indoor sports for our league to start. It's been a tough year all around, but by not being able to go to school and see my friends every day. But I think just like school, sports provide a lot of life lessons for players and coaches. Not allowing us to play will take learning experiences away and can impact one's future. I see my other friends at Sarah High School who are being able to play, and it just does not seem very fair to us. All I'm asking is for an approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker on this agenda item is Brady Carson.
Hi, I'm a sophomore at Hillsdale High School and I play basketball. I'm here, like the previous people, to encourage you to say yes on allowing us to have a season and to let us play indoor basketball, because it benefits everyone, all of our student athletes in many ways. And to see that all, or like 40 plus states are playing indoor high school basketball across the nation, it's sad to see that we can't, and to see that we have all the tools to get it done. It's just sad that we can't get it done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate everybody making their comments this evening. We'll move on to board comments.
Excuse me, Dr. Griffin, Mr. Griffin, could I just tell people who are listening that I'll make some comments about this during the superintendent's report, if that's okay.
Okay. And that was an honorary degree you just conferred on me, I take it. Thank you. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Thank you. I just wanted to first acknowledge the land that we're on, the indigenous lands that that we are, I guess, inhabiting right now. But I also wanted to say that this on the April 16th, there's going to be an event for youth with disabilities through You're Disabled and Proud. It's a youth organization that helps empower youth with disabilities and also encourages disability history. There's going to be an event with a woman named Alice Wong, who is a very prominent disability justice advocate in our community. But I also wanted to acknowledge that yesterday was Transgender and Non-Binary Day of Visibility. And so I wanted to acknowledge everyone in our district who is of this community and just acknowledge them. But I also wanted to say that I had a good time attending the CTE Industry Days that happened this in March. They were really amazing. There's so many different industries that our students are able to, I guess, to access through our district. And so I just encourage them just to keep going, and they're doing a great job with our students. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Right. Trustee Land.
Thank you, President Griffin. I just want to say a couple things about the comments that were made today. I really appreciate the awareness that was given to us tonight. I hope that our district will listen and do something. I think these stories are critical to hear, and I think it's important that we figure out a way to get support. For anyone who is putting these online and reporting these, I think it's important to go to someone. And we have been really struggling with trying to open up ways for our mental health services, for our counseling services to be accessible. And even in one of the stories that was shared, it was really wonderful to hear that they did get to a guidance counselor and they did get to see what happened. We have a lot of work to do. I admit that. I think that's important for all of us. I think our country has a lot of work to do with hatred and overcoming racism and sexism. And I think it's something we have to be part of our education, and it has to be ongoing. I think we need to be relentless. And I know we have more work to do, but I know I appreciate our staff for listening, and I hope that will continue in the future. As for the sports, indoor sports, I know we have worked towards this, and we will continue. If Ms. Pera is correct with testing, I'd like to see and have a discussion when we talk about our updates about testing and how we're doing with that. I'd like to see that pursued. As for me, just personally, it's been really tough. My school is getting ready to come back 5 days a week with all our students right after spring break. And it's been challenging, but I will say this, I've been very appreciative of hearing all the information from Dr. Skelly and the reports that we've gotten from principals about what's happening on the campuses and getting teachers back and getting back into each of our phases. It's been very nice to hear the good news, and I'd like to hope to see that continue, and we're headed in the right direction. Let us just continue this work. Thank you. Oh, and go Bruins.
Trustee Hanley.
Yeah, I've been able to go out and visit a number of the schools in the past, I think about 10 days with the superintendent as they've been getting ready to welcome students back today. And it's been great to see the preparations being made. The schools look great. It was particularly great to go over and tour Peninsula, the new Peninsula School. It was really the first time I'd been over there since the very early days when we started construction. So I'm so pleased to see that school open in its new location. I think it opens so many opportunities for the students of Peninsula High School. And I'm really looking forward to that school being in full operation. And I'm also really pleased to hear the news yesterday that there's likely to be possibility for vaccination for 12 to 15-year-olds soon. And I think that opens the possibility for really returning very close to normal school in the fall. There'll probably still be some adjustments that will have to be made, but I think assuming that we are able to get vaccinations done for 12 to 15-year-olds along with the rest of the student body, I think we may be well on our way to getting education back towards some sense of normalcy, and that's very good news. So I'm very hopeful that things are going to improve quickly in the next 6 months or so.
Okay, thank you. The only thing, and I don't see any other hands, the only thing I would add to this, that the superintendent and I had a meeting with two of the Foster City Council members and the relatively new city manager to discuss a variety of issues. And they kind of briefed us on their housing programs that are there. And we talked about charter schools and, things that we could possibly look to work on. And they've got some land out there and they're focusing on how to use put the golf course to a better use. So it was a productive meeting. And I think it'd just be, now that we're back on track, we'll just continue the dialogue. So anyway, that's it for all our public comments. Oh, and then the other thing, I got my second shot on my vaccine, Moderna, today. And this thing is dragging on, and I will be in a basket if we don't hurry and get this thing done, because my forehead is already heated up and I've got the ice water right here next to me. So anyway, I was glad to be able to get it. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. And I believe there are two items that have been requested to be pulled. That's H5 and H10. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda? Yes, trustees Leeswire.
I would like to pull the contract with Events to the T Inc. from H1.
Okay, so we'll pull H1. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda minus H5 and H10 and H1, which H1 will be taken up separately?
So moved.
Okay, trustee Land, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, trustee Hanley, second. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustee Leeswire?
Yes.
Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. That's the consent agenda as amended passes 5-0. On H1, you want to discuss the contract to the T?
I would like to, actually, I'd like to pull it tonight. There's one glaring mistake on the front page. The agreement is for 6 schools, but there's 7 listed. There's some other issues with the contract that I'm concerned about, and I know that Kevin is having legal counsel review it because it's an agency agreement. And it also has, there's open-ended language in it that can really add to the cost. So I think the contract needs to be looked at by legal counsel, but I'm really concerned that the terms could not prove to play out as they are presented in the contract, and then there's errors in it. So I'd like it to come back.
Okay, so is there a motion on H1 minus this contract? What's the firm's, the name?
It's events
To the T or
events
something?
to the T Inc. Right?
Okay,
It's for
so
$184,000.
we're removing events to the T Inc.'s contract. And is there a motion on the balance of H1?
I move we approve the rest of it.
Second.
Okay. So we got Linda Lees Dwyer on the motion, Trustee Land on the second, Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Land,
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer,
Yes.
Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. And so H1 as amended passes. So we're through the consent agenda. Going to, I believe, special reports and appearances. J1, no, let's see, R1, regular reports, or I1, regular reports, report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. I think we have a slide here that captures some pictures of today's first day of school. We were, I tell you, you put in, what has it been, 13 months since we have had students back, and then to have this day today with students in person was just absolutely marvelous. I can't tell you how pleasurable it was to travel the district, to see staff, to see kids back on campus, freshmen who'd never been on campus, other students who hadn't been there in 14, 15 months. It was just an absolutely fantastic day, and we'll hear more about it in the report that we have tonight. But I think I want to say thank you to everybody who worked so hard there, teachers, classified staff, administrators, students. I didn't hear any reports of any student who didn't follow protocols. Our students have been absolutely fantastic. They're just so inspiring, and their desire to be back at school was really fantastic. It was a really great day, even though it was April Fool's. There were no fools today. Everybody was serious about the work, but you could just sense the energy from everybody here. Yes, people are nervous. Yes, we need to be very, very careful, but it was a fabulous day. Can you move the slide off? And I'm also glad that we have these 2 days before spring break. When we negotiated this agreement, there were a lot of pieces, and we didn't know how the days would fall. But to have a couple of days here to get this big lift off the ground, then take a little break, and then come back strong for the end of the year, I think couldn't have worked out better, at least from my perspective. And I really do want to thank everybody who played such a big role in this. I want to talk a little bit about winter sports. We have a presentation tonight about the return to campus and return to school. But the situation with indoor sports, we are anxious to have those activities go forward. We are presently in the orange tier to play indoor sports. You need to be in the yellow tier without testing, but to have testing, you can do it in the orange tier. We have seen what happens in the NCAA tournament where teams aren't able to play. We've seen that happen with athletics this year in our district when we've had outdoor sports. that could play in higher tiered levels. And so this is a very big lift, but we're committed to doing it. We want to see our kids play. The passion that you heard from the students there is palpable, and we want to meet that need. And so when I mentioned April 5th, the April 5th meeting next week that our athletic directors will be attending, we basically have a plan, but it does need to go through that organization. We're looking at having a league that would involve our students in volleyball, basketball, and wrestling. Those will be difficult athletics to do at this present point. If we're still in Orange, they will be. We'll have to do a lot of testing, but our community really, you've heard the passion there too, and they're going to be supportive. I do want to mention that the testing is one part of it. The contact tracing, whenever we have a case come out, that's where the real work comes in. Those are the hard conversations, the letters, the communications, the disruptions of many kids' experiences, and then the inability of us to play some of these sports is hard. So these are complicated issues. We've been focusing on the academic piece. And now, as we finish, as we start launching, we do think we can come back after spring break and do that. But it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take kids being safe outside of the sport, because, as was mentioned, a lot of the cases that you see are not with the athletic activities, but athletes involved in other things outside of school. So while we want to do this, we know that the athletes are going to have to be responsible as they go forward, and they're going to have obey the community expectations that have been part of coming back to school and are certainly involved in those kinds of activities. We are in Orange in the county. The numbers continue to fall. That's slowing down. Some of the numbers suggest that we're flatlining now, and we need to continue to do everything we can to stop the spread of COVID. Certainly vaccinations are part of that, but it's also the behavior of all of us as we go forward. I want to make some comments about the SMU Hsd Awareness. We continue to want to hear reports that are actionable for us. And so we have talked to students who are involved in activities. We promote anonymous alert as a way for us to learn about activities. And we desperately want to create the kind of atmosphere here on our campus that is safe, that is accepting, that is where every student's respected and they can feel comfortable in every classroom. And so we need the cooperation of students. And that sometimes involves being courageous, but we promise to do everything we can to investigate activities, to do what we can to step up. And if there are staff members who aren't doing that, we're committed to having additional training to do that, as well as to continue to provide consequences for students, both restorative and consequences in terms of really changing behavior on those issues. We have a really exciting 3 items here. I don't think tonight's going to be a long night, Mr. Griffin. I think that hopefully we'll get it before the second vaccine symptoms hit you too hard. But we're looking forward to talking about 3 really important topics and then having some other work done here. And then finally, we're really excited that we've been able to get vaccinations, and certainly at the end of spring break, we'll have many, or certainly most of our staff fully vaccinated as we return. So a little bit longer there tonight than usual. But just once again, we're really excited about where we are right now in terms of our work.
Okay, thank you. I too report of the student board members.
Hi.
Who's going first?
That would be me. Thank you so much for giving us the platform to speak. Although I did not opt into returning to school under the hybrid model, I'm really pleased to see how the district has reassured students about the safety of returning to campus. Just from Aragon, I think over 1/3 of students opted to go back. So I think that really goes to show that students feel safe in the atmosphere that you guys have provided for our schools. Personally, if I were to reevaluate my decision, I might opt in to go back to school, just given, you know, how wonderfully things have been organized by the district and by campus officials. And I didn't expect it to go so positively, but thank you guys for providing a really great school atmosphere for us. And hopefully, I'm a senior, but hopefully next year students will be able to have even more normalcy than is provided for them now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. The same as Anush, we are, because we do speak on behalf of students. I know that it's immense appreciation and optimism, and everyone's looking forward to going back to school. On the other hand, I have been in touch with Smu Hsd Awareness and the account, and from a student perspective, it is very disheartening seeing fellow students and my peers go through that type of experience. It's a very scary world to be in, where your safe place in a safe environment that was meant for a student is not safe, and students do not feel like they are comfortable. And if they do have the bravery to come out and explain what happened to them, that they do not feel heard. And I think as a student, as my part, I will constantly and continue to advocate for awareness in this spot, because I have heard many personal stories, and many students come forward to me and tell me that they don't feel the need to tell a trusted adult or a teacher, because they feel like no actions will be done. And that is one of the most just heartbreaking things you can hear after someone has gone through trauma, after someone has gone through a very horrible experience. But on the other hand, of the social justice side, there have been a couple of SMHUSD students who have hosted a rally in Foster City for awareness for the AAPI community. And with that, I think it's so inspirational to see students constantly advocate for equality, to advocate for a better future. And obviously the kids are our future. And it's kind of weird hearing me say that, because I am a young adult, but I think as much that we go through, and we go through a lot, and we constantly want to have better outcomes, and we are constantly working for a more positive community, a more embracing community. It's very nice to also see students who are doing the same and putting these actions and making accounts like the awareness account to spread this information that might have not been as easily spread through word of mouth, or if it was kept inside. So that's what we want to report on behalf of the student board members, and thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Report of the District Teachers Association rep.
Good evening, President Griffin, or Dr. Griffin, as the case may be, members of the board and district cabinet. As many have said, there's a lot to celebrate tonight. As Dr. Skelly mentioned in an earlier message to staff, today was the day of firsts for many types. The first time students en masse have come to campus for instruction, the first time many of them met their teachers in person, and for our ninth graders, the first time on a high school campus as a student. It was the first time students sat in school desks and looked at the whiteboard in person. And although being in the room did not increase any interpersonal interaction, today was also the first time that many of our students were able to socialize, albeit 6 feet apart, during school lunch. I'd be willing to bet that lunch was the best part of the day for most. From what I've heard from other campuses, the day was pretty successful in the sense that the reopening that we planned for worked pretty well. On my campus, I saw teachers, administrators, and classified staff working collaboratively on a level that is rarely seen on a typical Thursday. That said, this charge requires nothing less than that level of effort. This is especially true, as I have mentioned before, due to the delayed action in commencing preparation. Fortunately, here we are. All of this was really made possible because of the hard work and countless hours of our site administrators and the support of our classified staff. I know that all the sites have had challenges to overcome, and all admin and staff have worked tirelessly. Personally, as a member of the Hillsdale staff, I cannot say enough about Principal Jeff Gilbert and AP Brett Stevenson for their thoughtfulness and meticulous attention to detail in supporting the reopening. It has been their behind the scenes work that has delivered what has been promised, while all teachers felt supported to continue to deliver their curriculum day by day. I know that level of support is present and appreciated at all of the sites. I also want to commend our teachers for their tireless effort to continue to meet the needs of our students and find the capability, both mentally and practically, to bend and flex to reinvent their pedagogy on the fly. As one of our teachers recently posted on social media, quote, "In March of 2020, I felt again like a first-year teacher, learning how to become an asynchronous online teacher. I got sort of good at it. Then in August of 2020, I became an online synchronous teacher. I got pretty good at that, and after that even started to thrive. Now I'm a hybrid teacher, and of all the options, this one sucks the most. Yeah, it's great to see the kiddos, but I'm not sure it's even possible to get good at this. There's just so much to manage," end quote. As I've said many times before, this work is hard. It's very hard. It's therefore very disheartening to often hear some short-sighted administrators or members of the community that teachers should, quote, "go back to work." I assure you, ask anyone, teachers are working every day. They have never left. In many conversations with fellow teachers, administrators, and even students, the conventional wisdom is that the most important takeaway from this current endeavor will be the fact that we would be more informed about options for learning in the uncertain future of fall 2021. I'm hoping that we do not also delay planning for the next phase. That would be unfortunate. The past 2 weeks have been especially stressful. Amidst the joy of seeing kids on campus, the positive news about vaccines, and our growing optimism for the future, there are concerns about shortcuts and mixed messages. Over the long year of this pandemic, we have seen far too many times leaders at all levels, under pressure, who suffer from misguided exuberance, get ahead of themselves with a rush to open up too quickly, only to be forced back to greater restriction or to see heartbreaking consequences. B117 is real. It's coming. The experts agree that we will see another surge. We are not out of the woods, not even close. We are closer than in the past, but not there yet. Fortunately, we prepared a plan that should ensure our safety, or at least a reasonable measure of risk. Now is not the time to cherry pick favorable data that we know is in the early stages and shift protocols before those that are already agreed upon have even been implemented. As a county, we learned that lesson, as a country, pardon me, and a county, we learned that lesson last year. Now is not the time to undermine the message to families and staff about testing or any message about safety, because we know that will erode trust and commitment in some and cause anxiety and stress in others. Now is not the time to play games or parse words on the page and not to honor the spirit of the agreement just because it's easier and more expedient in the effort to deliver a promise to the community. Let's not forget that that promise was solely based on a shared set of agreements on safety and success of the plan. We implore you to continue to execute the reopening plans with the utmost fidelity. It's what the teachers, our students, and the community expect and deserve. Our site administrators and our teachers have done tremendous work to ensure that phase 3 runs smoothly. Let's not undermine those efforts before it even begins. Let's give it time to work successfully. Now is the time to proceed thoughtfully, cautiously, with a consistent eye on science. That is why teachers have been disheartened to read announcements that negative tests aren't required of teachers, or to hear that students who haven't tested will still be allowed to come to campus. Words matter. Sometimes sometimes the message that is sent is unintended. Again, we need to be clear and direct and transparent. We can find a way to support students and reopen safely without ignoring the safety parameters, the promises to the community, and the good faith agreement between the parties. Some sites have actually already done that. The district made a commitment to its teachers when it asked them to come back. It made a commitment to families when it described the safety protocols and asked them to decide whether or not to send kids. It's a betrayal of trust and just plain bad faith to play fast and loose with those commitments. We can find a way to do better. Finally, I want to commend the board for considering the resolution condemning hate against the AAPI community. Our association has long been working on a similar resolution. The timing of this public statement is obviously understood by all. I want to specifically recognize Trustee Andrade Zuniga for reaching out to me 2 weeks ago with a request for collaboration on such a resolution. I assured you, as I've said tonight, that we support the effort. I even went through an atypical process of polling my legislative council to fast track an official approval of the collaborative resolution. It is unfortunate that the district was unable to make that happen tonight. What I hope is that my report of the association's official support will result in a modified collaborative resolution that includes all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of CSEA Chapter 519 Representative.
Good evening. Oh, hi, how are you? Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Dr. Scully, and everyone here tonight. It has been very busy these past couple of weeks, filled with energy and excitement, as well as confusion and uneasiness. From rolling absences and scrambling for coverage, as well as HVAC systems in need of closer look, football games with limited and virtual fans, and freshmen walking the halls for the first time. With new processes to learn and relearn as changes occur, clear communication from the top down is needed, even more as students return to in-person instruction. As classified staff continues to be reassigned, we implore the principals and the district to continue to be flexible for staff with school-age children who have not yet returned to in-person instruction. We have one-parent households and parents with special needs children who need support through the remainder of this school year. Requiring staff to use their sick time when they are fully capable and have proven they can do their jobs remotely is not equitable. Thank you to all the staff who have been on campus and those that have returned to campus that are helping out in different areas where needed. As we continue to push for equity at the workplace, for staff, we fully support the resolution proposed by the district denouncing hate crimes and bigotry, targeting Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. It's imperative that we educate ourselves as well as our students by replacing the language we learned from books in our childhood and provide students with new reading material that promotes inclusivity for all. With a couple more months till graduation, can you believe it? Graduation, and maybe something that resembles a traditional one. We hope everyone enjoys their spring recess while adhering to our district community expectations around travel and gatherings. Thank you so much for your time, and you all have a good evening.
Thank you. A report of the San Mateo Adult School Teachers Association.
Good evening, President Griffin, trustees, Dr. Skelly, Dr. Black, and nice to meet you, Mr. Hawkins. For those who don't know us, the adult school teaches the parents, families, and neighbors of the high school kids. So there's points I wanted to address this evening. The first is the anti-hate resolution. So a special shout out and thank you to trustees Lihia Andrade Zuniga and Greg Gland for bringing the resolution to the board. Our union supports this resolution and stands with the district in addressing hate and bigotry, including, as the resolution focuses on, hate, bigotry, and violence targeting the Asian American Pacific Islander community. Many of our students are immigrants from Asia, and many of these folks are women. This puts them at the crosshairs of anti-Asian hatred, white supremacy, misogyny, and xenophobia. And I want to just share that just yesterday I had 2 students, women immigrants from Asia, tell me they're afraid to leave their home right now because of what's happening. The threat or reality of violence, verbal or physical, erodes health, learning, and engagement, which is exactly why they are used to control, undermine, and exile people, and this is not okay. Outside of families, educators are the original influencers, as they are called in social media. We hold the power to shape what story is told, in whose voice, and to what purpose. Our recognition or failure to recognize ongoing injustice and trauma has a profound and long-lasting impact on our community. The resolution is important and we support it. About the climate emergency resolution, A little over a year ago, I attended a board meeting that included tense discussion of the classified staff contract, as well as a discussion of the use of Roundup. I can never remember the chemical name on district grounds. At the time, I thought about the folks most affected by the use of Roundup on our campuses, the classified staff who have the job of spraying it. An adult school student and Green Team member who came with me that evening spoke to the board about the impact of working with Roundup and other chemicals in his job as a gardener. As with climate change, when discussing Roundup, much of the conversation centers around why it's hard to make a change, to find alternatives or do things in a different way, and not so much on the impact, short or long term, of the chemicals, especially on the folks most impacted. We have come a long way in the year since then. Sorry, need some water. Through fires, heat, and red skies, there's a deeper awareness of the impact of climate change on all of us. And I hope some awareness that, as with all catastrophes, including COVID, climate change affects some of us more. As climate change-driven rising seas affects the value of real estate, which in turn affects property taxes, which in turn affects school districts, some of us will be able to sell and leave for areas less impacted by climate change, and some of us won't. Just as some of us could work from home during the pandemic, and some of us couldn't. The risk, danger, and impact of climate change is very real, and just as real is the truth that the impact is not shared equally. Our union applauds the district for this resolution and also wants to say a special thank you for the district sustainability work that's being led by Dwayne Taylor, and that includes students. Finally, I just want to share about the adult school that staff members Tia and Marina, and as I think you know, Marina is a former student, and student leaders presented at the COABE National Conference last week. Their topic was Facing Crisis Together, the Benefits of Adult School Engagement in School Life During Challenging Times. Their presentation focused on mutual aid and resilience. Resilience is really the heart and soul of adult education. As some of you may know, if you have met our students or visited our campus pre-pandemic, there is no better voice for the true worth of adult ed than adult learners or alums. So I want to publicly thank those students and staff members for attending and presenting at the conference, even as they had to deal with the many challenges of the pandemic. We will celebrate California's Adult Ed Week, April 19 to 23. Because of the pandemic, the celebration will be smaller, but the work we do that week, as has the work we've done all year, will be bigger than ever. Our own spring break is the week after that. We know it's been a long haul for all of us, everyone on the Zoom and everyone in education in any aspect, students, staff, trustees, all of us. Thank you for the work that you've put in to show up. We see it and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to J1 update and spring semester opening. Dr. Black.
Good evening. Tonight's presentation will combine an update on the district's current phases of reopening and a preview of our planning for next school year. We will have several presenters, including 3 principals and our manager of EL and academic support programs. We will start with our first presenter, Student Health Coordinator, Sarah Devaney. Next slide.
Everyone, thanks for having me. So let's talk a little bit about our COVID testing. Over the last 10 days, we've COVID tested 3,260 tests as of today. In terms of our phase 3 start, that was 2,567 tests. In regards to over the last 10 days, that breaks down into staff, a little bit over 800, and students close to 2,500 tests. So our health aides and our athletic trainers have been working morning, noon, and night getting these testings done, as well as each of the site teams have allotted additional support. We've done some drive-through style. We've done lots of different ways, but lots of great testing and lots of great work happening. I also want to mention that in terms of our sports testing, we are currently exploring alternative options, which was mentioned earlier, so that we can increase this, given the requirement for our indoor sports in the yellow. If we start in the orange, there's a 48-hour testing requirement before competition. So we're exploring that option. Next slide. All right, vaccines. I know someone mentioned earlier about the idea of the vaccine being available for 12 and older. I think effective the 15th of April, it will be effective for all 16 and over in California. So that's exciting news. We know about 1,000 of our staff members have received their first vaccination, or if they received the Johnson & Johnson, they've already received that one. And then approximately 75% of staff have received their second dose. So we're well on our way.
Okay, next up is our robust interactive process system. Many staff members have requested to work from home for some or all of the remainder of the year. The total positions of the requesters total 264.5 full-time equivalents, or FTE, as of this afternoon. The reasons for the requests are many, but with over half of them due to documented medical conditions. I have met with most of the requesters with the intention of meeting their needs while assuring that our schools are well staffed to provide students with exceptional instruction and support. Next slide, please. Today was the first day of in-person instruction for many of our students returning to campuses. This slide displays both the number and percentage of the student body opting for in-person instruction for the balance of this semester. Burlingame has the highest percentage and number of students. For the next slide, I'll introduce Dr. Showman, our manager of EL and academic support programs, who will provide an update of phase 2.
Thank you. I wanted to quickly mention and thank the board also for the AAPI resolution and for honoring Haley when the meeting started. She was a student of mine. Our students are really happy to be back at Bridge and on campus. We actually have 60% of our students attending in person, and the few who are not have work and family situations that make it difficult for them to be there. But they are Zooming in and we're making it work. We did get to this point because we have an amazing and dedicated staff and students who practice our values of In Lakesh, which is a Mayan-inspired poem. It's the pedagogy that anchors our program, and it's really about us taking care of each other and having collective responsibility for our community. We've been back for 2 weeks now. We've learned, we've laughed, we've played. You can see some of our pictures. Our kids are socially distancing. We're very lucky to be on the adult school campus. They kick the soccer ball around during their breaks. And it's really joyous just to see them having that interaction with their teachers. Our teachers and instructional aid are doing an awesome job navigating the current situation of kind of Zoom in the room. But our students are being patient, understanding, and gracious. And I just want to take the last few seconds to say we wouldn't be here without our Bridge staff and others who support us. I think you all know we serve some of the most vulnerable students in the district. So I do want to take a few seconds to thank the Bridge staff, our teachers, Nina Fincy and Jess Purohit, Christina Gutierrez, who's our instructional aide, Ana Rubio, our wellness counselor, Evelyn Mejia, Elsa Polito, our family engagement coordinator, and Araceli Guisar. I also really want to thank and appreciate Reggie Berg and Carla Jones from the San Mateo High School student nutrition staff for taking care of feeding our kids every day, our transportation team who supported us throughout, and of course the adult school staff, administration, and operations crew who are taking care of making sure we have what we need. And then lastly, our students who once again have shown their resilience and fighting spirit by making it back to campus, even though they themselves and their families are caretakers, were really affected by this pandemic. Thank you.
And next up is Paul Belzer, principal of Burlingame High School.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, Superintendent Skelly. First off, I'd like to thank the board for recognizing Dr. Wright. Just briefly, as a new principal, first-time principal at Mills High School, Dr. Wright was a complete ally in helping me kind of acclimate to the role, a fierce advocate for students with IEPs, and just overall a wonderful person. And I was very saddened to hear the news. But for today, we are very excited to welcome students back after spring break. No, of course, I'm only joking, but considering we picked April Fool's Day to open our schools, so far, I'm just glad the joke has not been on us, at least so far. Given the timing of tonight's presentation and the focus on returning to campus, Mr. Gilbert, Ms. Shu, and I will share the steps kind of taken at the sites to prepare for our opening, provide some highlights of today's first day, and wrap up with some next steps and preparations for the end of the school year. First, as I'm sure you can all understand, due to the uncertainty, due to the changing nature of our health conditions and the related county guidelines, all our schools have worked to provide regular communication with our students and families. This has taken the form of principals' newsletters, Aries communications, and Canvas announcements. I'd really like to say a special thanks to our school's parent groups and PTOs for all their support and assistance in communicating with our families and school communities, answering questions. They've been complete partners in the work. Each of our school teams have also conducted virtual town halls, parent information nights, Latino parent night presentations to provide families with return to campus specifics and answer the many questions families have. This again has been a significant undertaking, but proved to be essential as families work through their own family situation to make the best decision for their student about returning. In addition to these efforts, each of our schools ran freshman and new student orientations over the past week, so new students could familiarize themselves with our schools, find their classrooms, and ease the transition back to in-person learning. Again, a quick shout out to our leadership students and their teachers for coordinating these efforts. It was like flipping the on switch to have students back on our campuses. Each school has also worked to provide COVID testing, as Ms. Devaney just referenced, for surveillance screening for all students returning to campus and for screening for staff. And I'm really appreciative of all their work. On our campuses, each of our schools coordinated return to campus safety teams, which reviewed the site safety plans that were submitted to the county and helped guide school efforts around classroom protocols and norms for safe entry and exit, paths of travel, and other issues around logistics. These teams of administrators, certificated and classified staff were essential to addressing staff concerns and relaying important information. Last, our schools have taken considerable time to cohort students to make sure we are not overloading specific classrooms. We have tried to maintain a 13, 14 to 1 as our classrooms can only hold so many. Students with teachers working from home have been scheduled into separate learning spaces or overflow areas. And I wanted to give a special thanks to Chris Rosiah and Lulu Davidson and the HR department in general for their assistance in providing both classified and certificated support, which have been essential to making sure every student has had a place to learn, even if their teacher remained remote. Overall, it has been a tremendous effort to open our schools for a portion of our students while making certain that we continue to provide a challenging and engaging virtual experience for students who need to or choose to continue with distance learning. Our teachers have worked diligently to consider the best ways to engage students in the real and virtual classroom simultaneously, and I appreciate how hard the past year has been on both our students and teachers and how hard they've worked to make this transition work. It has been a team effort. Classified, certificated, and administrative staff at each site and across our district. I believe we have worked more closely with our sister schools and our district office than ever before, and I'm grateful to work with such a committed team of educators. It was incredibly gratifying to welcome our students back today, and I'm excited to build on the momentum of our first day. And with that, I'll pass it to Mr. Gilbert to talk a little bit about today's experience. Thank you.
Well, the return to school actually began last week when we welcomed our staff back on Wednesday. Our PTSO and our student leadership did an amazing job of creating a really welcoming environment. And we do know that it was really challenging for a number of people to come back onto campus, to be around so many people. We really tried to attend to that and create the safest possible work environment. I think we made a really wise decision to create the 2 asynchronous days at the end of last week, which allowed staff to be on campus. We were able to do the safety and tech trainings. We were able to allow teams to meet virtually to prepare for the work days, to plan lessons, and to have staff meetings as necessary to work out the final details of our return to school. That allowed staff to be on campus on Monday and Tuesday of this week to teach in those classrooms, get used to the technology, get used to the headphones, try to figure out how to just work the space in a way that hasn't happened up till now. And then ultimately it came to fruition this morning. We got there early. By 8:30, students were lined up on the red X's. We at Hillsdale could not find Columbia blue tape, so we ended up with red tape, and you would find red tape markings all over the campus, chairs on top of red X's, students standing on top of red X's, everything 6 feet apart. And you could tell the students have obviously been living in this COVID world for quite a while. They knew what to do. They lined up, masks were on. They had their lanyards and their IDs out. They had their LifeScan apps prepared. Students were screened in really efficiently. We had a few who forgot their lanyards or IDs. We were able to work that out. By 9 o'clock, we had students in classes following all of the markings, the one-way arrows, all of the paths of travel that we've designed in order to keep students as safe as possible. And as the day unfolded, I would reiterate Paul's comment that we have been so supported in terms of the hiring at the sites. We have a small army of temporary campus aides, many of them who are alumni, students who are either here at college or former students who are graduates who are back on campus. They've helped prep the campus. They've helped set up tables and chairs. We have people supervising every restroom and every hallway, escorting students where they need to get to. And it is notable on the campuses the size that we have, how for us around 200 to 250 students do get swallowed up on those campuses. We were initially worried about how many students would be there, but the number looks really good. We feel like we've hit the ground running in these first 2 days, or yesterday, today, and hopefully tomorrow. And then to see the actual students in the classroom is it's really amazing. It is not without its challenges, no question. Our teachers are really trying to figure out the process of being able to talk to the students in the room while they're talking on Zoom. You can see them negotiate that and figure that out, share best practices across the classrooms. But if I was going to leave you with anything, today was, it was a really emotional experience in a way that I was not prepared for. Just walking across our great court and having students say, "Hey, Mr. Gilbert, I saw a senior who I knew as a 6-year-old playing on softball with my daughter. To have her say hi, there were moments that was really, really emotional to be there. It was a fantastic boost going into spring break to see our staff. And I can't reiterate the thanks enough, our classified staff in preparing. But through it all, no matter what we say, the weight of this work always falls on the teachers, and they have been warriors in this. They have had to adjust so many times, and I really, really appreciate that. So I want to pass this on to Yvonne to talk a little bit about the next steps going forward.
Hey, good evening. I too, I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to thank my admin team, especially the classified staff operations, for all the behind the scenes work in getting ready to welcome back our staff and students, teachers back to school. Without their work, we would not be here today. And so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It really does take a team effort, and all of their tireless effort really paid off. In terms of feeling a little over-prepared for the first day in terms of welcoming back students, that there was a calm among the campus, I believe, and so thank you very much. While we have focused primarily on bringing back our students, we might have put a couple of things on hold so that we could get ready to reopen schools. But we continue to juggle all things high school without dropping the ball, and we continue to forge ahead. And so while now that we have the first day back, opening day behind us now, is that we are still planning to move ahead with SATs. No students on campus on April 27th, so that we can have students on campus to do the pencil and paper SATs, and that students would be remote learning. We're also gearing up for AP testing in May. The district has provided students with the option of pencil and paper, and therefore they'll be coming to campus throughout May for testing. We're also answering various emails from a variety of parent groups, our senior class councils on student activities. And of course, a lot of those things are based on all of the guidelines that the county will provide for us. And so for all the parents out there, please stay tuned. We know that we want to do things with our seniors, but have to follow county guidelines and make sure that we're being safe at the same time. Graduation is just around the corner, and so graduation plans are in the works. I understand that the contract will be revisited, and so we eagerly look forward to working with you on moving ahead, since it does take a lot of preparations in getting graduations together. And of course, parents are very interested in doing a live graduation, and that again will be based on the county guidelines. We're already planning for the fall semester in the brand new school year. Counselors, the school counselors, assistant principals are working on programming and master scheduling, working with department chairs. World language teachers are doing placement testing. Administrators are posting, interviewing, and hiring so that we can get ready, all while we're still working in this current year. One of the other major focuses of our schools is professional development. And while a lot of our time has been focused on logistics, we are all committed to our PD work. Burlingame is looking at culturally responsive teaching in the brain, and their next steps would be looking at grading for equity. San Mateo High School, we had a couple of PDs looking at white supremacy culture. And again, also like Burlingame, we will be looking at and reading excerpts from grading for equity, and hopefully ending the year with looking at syllabi. So when teachers go into the summer, they will be reevaluating what their syllabi look like. And Hillsdale as well is looking at anti-racist teaching. And so we're very focused on that important topic. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you all the things that we have been very busy working on. And I hope you have a great rest of the evening.
Okay, next slide. As was shared in an earlier slide, several of our schools currently have under 30% of our students opting in for in-person instruction. Therefore, we anticipate some of our schools may evolve from an AB cohort model to one combined cohort, so students can be on campus for 4 days a week. We have indicated April 26th as the earliest date for this, as we know that many of our staff members are traveling over spring break and may need to self-quarantine thereafter. And additionally, the 26th provides our schools with a couple of weeks to assess capacity and consider these types of options. Next slide, please. Athletics has been a bright spot in many ways over the course of the school year. Last week, most season 1 sports completed their seasons, including cross country, swimming, girls golf, and tennis. Football is still going strong until April 16th. Season 2 sports are underway, and those sports are listed on the slide. And as Dr. Skelly mentioned, the yellow tier sports, which are most of our indoor sports, we do plan to begin a season for them. Since our county is in the orange tier, we're arranging for COVID-19 testing of these student athletes 48 hours before any competition. And in order to maintain safety and assure our ability to contact trace, the competitions will be intra-district only. Next up will be Brian Simmons, Director of Curriculum and Assessment, to present performing arts information.
Brian, you're on mute. Apologies. I said the most brilliant thing I've ever said. Good evening, board members. They'll never know what it was. While we've worked with many of our lab-based classes to understand the unique challenges that they face in both teaching with Zoom for students at home and students in their classrooms, we've had some special collaborations with our music faculty to identify the safest and most workable solutions to their unique situations. As part of that, we've determined that they will, when weather allows, hold their classes outside. And in addition, we've provided them with various personal protective equipment that's described here. We've also we'll be giving them some mobile technology and carts to push their keyboards outside, and also some temporary coverings to be set up so that, you know, as the weather requires that. And now I'll be handing it off to Ms. Chalkley for the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, April. April Torres, our manager of mental health.
Thank you, Brian. So my photo is off, and I apologize for that, but I lost internet connection. I have to apologize to my own children who kept telling me all day they didn't have connection, and I didn't believe them. So apologies to them. Thank you for having me here tonight. Just a little bit about mental health and wellness. I get a lot of phone calls, and I talk to a lot of parents in the community. And we want you to know that wellness is now on campus, so they can meet with students in person. But we will also continue to meet with students via telehealth, and that's either through Zoom or through the phone. So whichever students feel most comfortable with. That includes our smaller school sites like Bridge, Community College, the Middle College, and our KEY program. So if students need to make an appointment or would like to meet with wellness, they can do that through the district website or their school websites. We are also we also continue to offer student support groups, and those will be virtual, and they usually happen on our flex time or before or after school hours. Our restorative justice programs through the Tupe Youth Prevention Education Program, those are going strong. We offer vape, substance use program, brief intervention, our ATS, alternative to suspension for cyberbullying, and media awareness. That's more of us supporting students and learning how they are using and possibly abusing their digital footprint. And then our Parent Connect classes, we offer those as well. Please feel free to look on the district website where we have all of that information, or reach out to me directly. We also offer parent education and support through our parent cafes, and we work closely with the Peninsula Healthcare District and Parent Venture on those topics. We, in the fall, we know that, that our students are still experiencing isolation, loss, grief, grief with losing loved ones, maybe employment, homes, hate crimes, political climate. We're here to support building their resiliency. So we will continue to offer these throughout the summer, through summer school, as well as into the fall. And we are looking to continue to broaden our support for all student learners to include telehealth into the fall semester. There are a few links for mental health supports, and just to note, our Stanford Teen Mobile Health Van is still here monthly. So if you need some support on connecting with that, please feel free to reach out to myself or Sarah Devaney. And our Care Solace program, that is a program that will support finding mental health resources in the community so that our students and our families and our staff do not have to make phone call after phone call. You'll see on the right, know your resources. Every student has this on the back of their student ID cards. So if they are in a space where they feel they need to talk to somebody, and maybe it's after school hours, they have this on the back of their student ID cards. And with that, I will pass it over to, it's either Julia or Laura. I apologize, I'm not sure which one.
It's me, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Happy to be here. So I've been asked to talk a little bit about end of the year activities. So a little later tonight, the board will be asked to approve graduation dates, which are listed there. And of course, they're listed later in the agenda. Proms, it's really unlikely that public health conditions will allow us to have events like proms this year. But other events are, we typically in non-pandemic times meet with our PTO, our parent groups, once a month, but we've been meeting with them every other week. And they are working with our facility staff to create opportunities for safe social gatherings after graduation. And then finally, our activities directors are also involved in end of the year events. As a few of our principals mentioned, they were actively involved in orientations and tours of the campuses. They've, I'm sure this will not come as a surprise to anyone, but they've come up with some really, really creative end of the year activities. And I'll just paint a picture of a few for you. One involves pickup kits for arts and crafts and sports. So the activities director at Cappuccino, Drew Bywater, said it's kind of like a cross between Sports Basement and Michael's. So students can pick up these activities kits, take them and go and use them. Everything from that sort of activity to Minecraft Bed Wars, which is a very specific type of way to engage in Minecraft. Trivia contest and school-wide cahoots during passing periods to keep morale high and help kids to interact socially, safely. And everything from all of these kinds of very new and interesting creative ways of helping to finish the year strong to more serious conversations about social justice and AAPI outreach and support. And then of course, our activities directors are waiting to hear more about what might be possible for end of the year senior events. So with that, I will pass it over to Julia Kimke.
Thank you, Laura. And I think I get to bring this presentation home. So just a last note on the end of year activities, one of them being our final schedule. Each school has identified their final schedule and they have had to change just a bit to accommodate the expanded AP testing schedule. And the plan for the final schedule is that the A and B cohorts will be combined for that last week. Students that have chosen in-person learning may take their final either on campus or virtually. And we're hoping that we can work to accommodate whatever choice they have. And all of those finals will obviously be virtual. Next slide, please. So just a couple notes. I think as we got closer to opening for in-person this week, we were able to start thinking about next year, which was refreshing and good to start thinking about that. So next slide, please. We are taking a look at the instructional bell schedule next year in anticipation that we'll be back to full-time in-person learning. We are looking to do a block schedule, and that would be 5 days a week with an odd even day and similar bell schedules across our schools. And we did find this year one of the huge benefits, there were a lot of benefits to having a consistent bell schedule across the schools. It allowed for our teaching staff to do collaboration across the district. It also allowed for teachers that teach at 2 campuses to have an easier time in their schedules. And I think it also allowed, which was mentioned earlier, that we just have become closer as a team because we do have this collaborative space of the bell schedule. The present guidance from the CDE is that high schools will revert back to our 64,000 minute requirement next year. So we're looking at models to meet that requirement. That is the pre-pandemic requirement of instructional minutes for those of you who might not know that. We are anticipating school will start around 8:30. The California law that requires an 8:30 start does not go into effect until the following year, but we have been starting school at 9. So starting school at 8:30 next year, seems like it would be a good transition for us. And we still have discussions around this. We've mocked up a rough draft of the bell schedule that will start working with our teaching staff and all staff on what that might look like. And then we still are talking about whether or not the staff planning time will be before or after classes. Next slide, please. And the other piece is kind of the reflection on what we've learned through the pandemic schooling. We do anticipate most of our students will return to full-time in-person learning. We're looking forward to the time where most of us have vaccines and we've reached herd immunity so that we can, continue to be in person. But we have learned a lot about some flexible options that we want to allow for as we move forward. We are looking into virtual options that might allow us to offer, interesting and unique elective offerings if we're able to do those as virtual classes, and then students can join from across the district. That's another, benefit of having a consistent bell schedule, is that we can offer more robust elective offerings. We're also looking at options on that same note of virtual classes, twilight virtual classes. This is also for students that may have struggled this year and during the pandemic to kind of expand their learning and ensure that their skills are there so that they're successful in their classes. We do expect that we want to see our underclass students on campus, just having them in person, providing the structure and the guidance that we can do in person. So we'll work on families that need, independent study or virtual options for very specific reasons. But for many of our 9th and 10th graders, we anticipate welcoming them back and ensuring that they can, interact in a more unique way on campus. And the independent study option will continue for students as we go forward. And we're still looking at how to structure that. It might include some twilight class options. We also anticipate that some classes are able to start before that 8:30 time. So the new law allows for a certain percentage of the classes to start before 8:30. And then we are going to start now now that we've been able to return to campus, we really are going to start thinking and reflecting about what we've learned and start, reconstructing school based on all of the learning and that we've done over the last year. So I think this is the end of the presentation. Pass it back to Dr. Black and the board to see if there are comments and feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Kempe. Dr. Skelly, did you want to say anything at the end here?
No, I think we're good. We'll turn it back over to you.
Mr. Griffin, we do have one public speaker on this item, Joelle Kaufman.
Joelle, good evening.
Hi, President Griffin. Hello, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak, for all the hard work you're doing and the Herculean efforts to go back to school. I am thrilled, having just heard Assistant Superintendent Black say, we are looking at bringing the cohort together for 4 days in person. Today, Lodi District said they're coming back 5 days in person. Monterey District's coming back. Santa Monica's announcing it. And I think we expect the County of San Mateo to embrace the 3-foot distancing that the California Department of Public Health has already endorsed, and the CDC. I'm thrilled, and I think we're all thrilled that the teachers and the staff have been able to be vaccinated, and so they can feel safer being on campus. I know my son was disappointed because he was in a classroom, no, not in a classroom. He was in a cafeteria sitting on Zoom with no teacher for his return to school, but it sounds like the vast majority of students got to be in a classroom with their teachers. But the April 26th 4-day return plan that you're working on is really welcome news. And I want to say thank you for that and for hopefully embracing the 3-foot distancing from the CDC, CDPH, and I expect the County of San Mateo. So I think we've had a tremendous amount of justifiable fear and anxiety, and there's an opportunity for our districts to be leaders and to show that we don't run from fear and anxiety. We learn, we make changes to be safe, but then we lean in and we move. Now is the time to move fast. Can we give our kids a month and a half of in-person learning and give our seniors something back that because their experience for the last year and a half cannot be replaced in August because they won't be here. So I thank you. I'm really excited to hear about the April
26. Your plan, I don't put word, working on a plan to combine the cohorts. I think that would be a lot better. And I hope, to build on Mr. Childress's point, that we can quickly get beyond this hybrid concurrent teaching, because it really is the most difficult for the kids and for the teachers.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions or comments? Trustee Land.
All right, I'm going to keep it brief. Just constructive criticism. It's still a long presentation, and it's 8:30, and I'm hoping our president can survive. So just real quick, thank you all. I really want to give a shout out to the principals. Thank you all for sharing that. That was important and critical information. Really, it echoes what I had experienced, and it's really great to see that in person and what's going on. Also, Ms. Showman, and what happens with our EL in our phase 2. Thank you so much for sharing that. My concerns, I think it's great to hear the future and where we're going, and I'm really happy to hear the stuff that we're going to get into. I want to go into a little bit more in that next meeting. So if you concentrate on kind of our next steps, next meeting, that would be great. I'm also very proud of what we're trying to do. I'm glad you guys did talk about testing. To me, I think testing is something that we need to keep doing and really focus on. I think one of the comments that Dr. Skelly made in his comments were about, not just about testing, but about contact tracing. It is very complex. I know it is going to happen. We are going to get symptoms and kids who have gotten COVID somehow, either outside, but our protocols will really help with that. And I can just speak from experience that we are going to keep doing what we're doing. I'm glad people are really looking at making sure that we're doing it right. But it is going to be about testing, getting the testing done thoroughly, and also about the contact tracing. I've sent many letters out that have had to say a whole class is closed because one person has COVID, and it wasn't from our school, but it was from outside, and it's going to happen. So I guess, like Ms. Kaufman said, it's not about fear. It's about just addressing it and doing what we're supposed to do. If we follow the protocols and we follow the science, it's going to work. And you guys have presented a great presentation that really shows that we're doing a lot of that right now. And I want to just see us keep going. So thank you.
Trustees Lee, Dwyer.
And unmute. I think I really appreciate the presentation. It seems like every time we're getting closer and closer to something that looks normal. And I think that's wonderful that we've come this far. And I do hope that we are able to get more students back into the classrooms. And I have two questions. One, if our students, right now Burlingame, for example, has 38% of their student body present. If that goes to 50%, will you still be able to have them 4 days a
week? Under our safety plan right now, no. We couldn't bring 4 days a week of our students back. Right now, our proposal, our safety plan says 30% of capacity. Is that right, Dr. Bly?
Yes.
So, but Burlingame's at 38. So how does that work?
So they have they meet 19% come on one day on Monday, Tuesday, and then 19% come on Thursday, Friday.
So, okay, so given with the 38%, will they be able to go to the 4-day schedule?
No, because that exceeds the 30%.
Okay, so if between that, if things are changing constantly, and I know you're all living with all this constant change. So if in fact the three foot rule gets opened into the county, then if we are at 50% capacity, can we have 4 days a week?
The challenge is, in my conversations with the superintendent and the county public health, is that typically those are situations in which you have a stable cohort where you'd have an elementary school situation, which is classroom where kids don't sort of break out of their pods, and there's not the kind of movement that goes on in high school. We haven't, pushed that. As you said, things are changing all the time, but that's at present the direction that we've received.
So, okay, so if 50%, I'm just gonna use Burlingame because I remember that 38. So if 50% of, right now, as it stands, Burlingame will not be able to go to the 4-day schedule because 4 days a week schedule because they're over the 30%, correct?
That's
Okay,
correct.
if more kids start going, wow, I can do this. Other people are doing it. We're not afraid. We can go. And they get to 50%, they're still going to be not able to do a 4-day week schedule. The other schools that are lower percentages, if they get above 30, I mean, it's kind of like we want to encourage as many students to come back as possible. But at the same time, if we, do you know what I mean? That it changes the dynamic. And I think that's hard because we want as many students back. So I guess I'd prefer to have less days and more students if that's our only choice. But I still think if we could get the 3-foot thing in place, and most of the classrooms are set up with the X's on the seats, but I haven't seen a lot of classrooms. The ones I saw yesterday were set up with the X's in between, which means that we possibly could accommodate more students. Then if we're able to do that, we still can't go to the 4 days currently, but that could change.
Yes.
Okay, I understand it. I don't have to like it. I just have to understand it. Okay, basketball, volleyball, indoor sports. How do we manage that? I mean, I guess football was outside, so we only put a certain amount of people in the bleachers, and there was a lot of rules with that. Okay, so for basketball and volleyball, it would be the same rules. So many people in the bleachers, but football has. I know it's outside, but the perimeter that they're in is very close. So even though there's a lot of air around them, the air is kind of going like this between them. So do we think is PAL going to open up? Are we going to see some real possibilities? Or because you're saying we're only playing with each other possibly the 16th, but what are we seeing? What's going on?
Well, we're seeing people starting to play basketball, and we have tremendous volume in terms of the space there. And we should have made this comment about how fortunate we are that the public has supported bond measures that have created ventilation systems in our classrooms and our spaces that are absolutely fantastic. So we're basing our work on the science that's here, and the guidance that we've heard about. What kind of capacity can you put in there? What's allowed? What's the testing requirements? All those pieces. That's guiding our work. And at this point, what we hear is if we can do the testing, we can have the students play probably back to back, so that if they test on Wednesday, or we know the results on Wednesday, they can play Thursday and Friday, or test on Tuesday, play Thursday and Friday. We think we can do that.
Okay. Have we looked at all into outdoor, temporary outdoor courts?
Yeah, we have. They're very hard to do and play. And I mean,
they look good on Amazon.
Playing basketball on a concrete floor is very different than hard in terms of your knees. And
no, I'm talking about the temporary courts that you can buy on Amazon.
Yeah.
Have we looked at that and said too many injury potential?
Yes, and then the rims now with the kind of pull away rims and stuff. It's really not a situation that you could establish at 6 high schools in a very short time.
So are we allowing coaches to have practices at all? I mean, we have outdoor courts at San Mateo. We have outdoor courts in many of the schools. Are we allowing them to have some outdoor practices on the outdoor courts?
They were doing that early on, and now they've gone inside with 6 feet and masks and shooting around and doing drills and things like that. So it's not like the kids will be walking in cold those days, not having picked up a basketball in a year.
Could we put volleyball on grass?
Mr. Gilbert's is the latest expert on No, although we've talked about having sand volleyball, but that's just a different sport with 2 kids, and it's just a very different sport.
But could we do grass? Has that been assessed?
It's a very different sport on grass, but I don't know if you want to weigh in on this.
Well, I mean, even if it's different, is it doable? I guess that would be the.
Yeah, I don't think that grass is. I think that the outdoor options be more on something like that you can buy. Like if you go to tournaments in the event center, they have these kind of plastic rubber that they lay down over the top of, say, a court. If you had an outdoor court, then you might be able to do something like that. I know that our volleyball coaches looked into renting that. Obviously the ideal would be indoors, but it's possible to do outdoors. Obviously then you deal with sun and wind, and it's not as good a measure of your ability, but it's not out of the question.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of options, because I think it's hard if you're a volleyball player or a basketball player to watch the football team practice and think, why not me? What happened to our sport? And I think that we should make every effort. And I appreciate the fact that we're looking at the 16th of April, but every effort to see how we can accommodate students, even if it's limited kind of drills and stuff that, would be safe for them. So anyway, thank you very much.
Trustee Andrade Zuniga, you have comments?
Yes, I will make it very quick. First, I just want to say thank you for everybody's hard work. This is a lot, and it's been a lot for a while, and I'm just very grateful for everything everybody does for our students. I just want to make sure that people that are not usually visible or heard or acknowledged in where their anxiety and fear comes from when it comes to COVID and when it comes to opening schools and just having a lot of people around all the time. We need to remember how interconnected we are and how much certain things will affect our communities as a whole. Just as an example, I employ domestic workers, and some people that I employ have children in our district. So if they end up contracting COVID, they'll give it to their children, who will then go to school, which will then spread it to other people. And it's not so much that, okay, we have one case, well, we'll do the contact tracing and we'll try to, quarantine them. It's beyond that. Like, let's think about also how it affects our communities as wholes. Let's remember, as a whole, let's remember that there are students that have lost parents, grandparents, neighbors, friends, aunts and uncles. People are in the brown and Black communities have been extremely affected by COVID-19. A lot of our families are domestic workers, are people that cannot take time off, that don't have an extra bedroom to quarantine in. So I just want to be clear, like, it's a lot of it is not that we don't want people to come back or don't want people to return to whatever quote unquote normal is for you, but it comes with like added issues that have happened in their lives. So again, it's not coming from a negative place, it's coming from like genuine concern for safety. Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody else wish to comment? I can't see. Okay, one little teeny tiny comment.
The one thing I forgot, and I apologize, is I just wanted to reflect on something that Craig Childress, our union president, said. He quoted a teacher who was talking about the different experiences that we've gone through. And I really need to acknowledge, because I, as a principal, have gone through all of these phases where we started at virtual, then we started at virtual Zoom in the classroom, and then blended model, and then maybe 4 days, and then 5 days. Each one has its own burden. And I just want to acknowledge that our teachers have gone through so much this year, and they've learned so much, and they've experienced, and they've been heroes. And I just think that's important to acknowledge, because both administration and teachers have had to go through all these different models to make it successful for kids. And I've noticed that in each experience, it has been a success. So it is a journey, and we've gone on this journey together, and it's really been taken a lot of us for a loop, but it's important, and we're still going along that way. So thank you for this new chapter, and I'm really proud of us. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank the administration and everybody who actually participated in that fast-paced, giant-sized back to school update. So we're going to move on, and seems like we've been here forever. J2 Resolution 2021-20, Declaration of Climate Emergency. Dr. Skelly.
Thank you very much. This item was brought to the board, was part of public comment last time. This is a student prepared presentation. I'm going to turn it right over to them and ask them to go over their slides here. And then we've helped, staff has helped, but they prepared a resolution for your consideration. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Atia. I think you're here and you have a couple of other colleagues who are going to talk us through this.
Thank you, Dr. Skelly. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for agendizing the Youth Commission and the discussion of the declaration of a climate emergency. My name is Atia Shah, and I'm a senior at San Mateo High School and am the chair of the San Mateo County Youth Commission's Environmental Justice Subcommittee.
Hey, everyone, I'm Maram. I'm a junior at Mills High School and the co-vice chair of the Environmental Justice Subcommittee.
We also have another commissioner who is presenting with us today. I think she might be having some technology issues, but she is
Can
Lily.
you hear me right now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey everyone, my name is Lillian. I am currently a senior at Mills, and I'm also currently the vice chair of the commission. Next slide, please. So to give a little background on what the Youth Commission's past work has been, in the past, this subcommittee has worked on sea level rise policies and projects, just overall promoting environmental awareness in our communities, going to youth summits and conferences, and yeah, just organizing opportunities for the community to be engaged in this environmental work and sustainability in general. And then I'm gonna pass it on to Atia for the next slide.
Thank you. For more context, in 2019, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors approved the creation of a broader climate emergency declaration, similar to the one that we are presenting about. And since then, cities across the county have created their own specific climate action plans. And some of these cities, which represent where many students and faculty in the San Mateo Union High School District live, are Burlingame, San Mateo, Millbrae, San Carlos, Foster City, and South San Francisco. So since our local governments are all taking action and aligning themselves with environmental justice, we think that it's important for the next big institutions, school districts, and education to step up. I live in Foster City, and throughout my entire lifetime, I've seen climate change rapidly escalate in so many ways. And the biggest one of those is sea level rise. And this year, as you can see in the bottom of this slide, I have captured pictures of the concrete ice over wall that's being built on our levee to mitigate the effects of climate change. And with that, I'll be passing the next slide over to Maram.
Yeah, so this year, the Environmental Justice Subcommittee's goal was really to prioritize sustainability in educational institutions and ensure that students are in an environment that motivates them to take action and make change in their communities. And so to do so, we are urging high school districts across the county to pass climate emergency declarations. We are currently in communication with Jefferson and the Sequoia High School districts, but we really see this as an opportunity for our district to lead this initiative and serve as an example for other school districts across the county and even across the state. And Tia will be taking us over to the next slide, please.
So the declaration asks all institutions in the district to focus on the prioritization and attention to a couple points, those being waste and consumption reduction, efficient operations and safe transportation to school, sustainable watersheds and water utilities, marine ecosystems and shoreline communities, campus biodiversity and land-based ecosystems, green buildings and grounds, healthy, sustainably sourced food, ideally partnerships with local farms that emphasize food justice and sustainability practices, clean and renewable energy, air quality and greenhouse gas reductions, and lastly, climate literacy and climate advocacy programs in our curriculum. Oh, next slide, please.
Here is an example of what the declaration looks like, which I'm sure the board members have been able to preview as well. And just to touch base again on what Maram was saying, this is currently a project that the Cabrillo School District is also taken on, and as well as other districts like Sequoia Union High School. So we should feel really validated that we are also taking a part in this work in making sure that we bring sustainability and climate change as a priority for our district. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so it's really important to recognize that declaring a climate emergency is in line with what our district is already doing. By establishing the Sustainability Committee, we have already made substantial headway by conducting baseline audits of all our campuses and bridging the gap between students and decision makers. And this resolution also gives us the opportunity to build upon the 2017 Sustainability Policy and Guidelines, and using that for a formal climate action plan. And so we really already have the foundation and tools needed to effectively implement the resolution. And under this, the San Mateo Union High School District would be committing to transparently logging our progress and engaging all stakeholders, including students, faculty, parents, etc. Next slide, please.
Time is of essence, and climate change affects the health, well-being, and future of youth and adults and everyone else in the San Mateo Union High School District. The youth are our future, and we need to prioritize the creation of a climate action plan to protect everyone in our district. We must take a stand and move towards a more sustainable community to set a higher standard to other institutions in our county and even in the state of California. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and we really hope that you will approve this declaration.
Thank you. The board have any questions or comments on the trustee Andrade Zuniga?
Sorry, I'll make this quick. I know you don't feel well. I just wanted to say that this is awesome, and I'm so glad that you are addressing this. Climate change affects our communities so much, especially our immigrant communities, because they're working outside as farm workers and working as essential workers. It affects our people of color. It affects, then, goes up like somebody earlier was saying how much again, we're all interconnected and somehow it'll trickle your way. So I'm just really, really glad that this is being addressed by the students. Congratulations. Thank you.
Trustees, Lee Dwyer.
Okay, I looked at the resolution and I'm listening to your presentation, and when you get to the therefore be it resolved, we declare that we have a climate emergency, which I think seems to be pretty much a no-brainer, requiring immediate effective action. And then we're going to be committed to passing a climate action plan that will address all the following areas. That's going to take some time and work by a lot of staff, and I think we need to recognize that. You've already started on sustainability, and I'm sure there's things already going on that we can kind of pick up on, and things that are in progress already. I'm not sure, like is the order of things on the list, does it matter with the order at all in which they're done?
No, they're not in a particular order. We just think that those are the most important factors that we need to obviously.
And I think I agree with you on that. So I think that the administration should look at this, and staff, and put it in an order that makes sense for the district, so that the analysis, all of the preparatory analysis work, to be done in a way that'll make sense as we bring everyone back to school and all the things we're doing, because there may be changes that the district's already made that we could take advantage of in the plan because of COVID, quite frankly. Things are changing, things are being addressed, looked at in ways that we didn't do before. So I think that we need to kind of integrate what's already been done into this. I would put sustainability first, and I'd love to hear from you what's been going on with sustainability, because I remember a few years, not even a few years ago, I'd cross a campus and there'd be the recycling would be empty and everything be in a garbage can. And I'm like, I'm recycling everything. I hardly have garbage because I compost, I do it all. So I would think, gee, you know, we need to be doing that on the campuses. So I would imagine that you've made, even with pre-COVID, some real progress in that area. So I would really like to hear about that from you, to see kind of where you've been and where you see sustainability going. Because I think we create too much waste, and you see that on the campuses. We're going to see it again as more students come on. So dealing with that, dealing with consumables, food services, nutrition, that ties right into your sustainable management. Those might be the first two items, but I'm not the person to prioritize. If the administration would do that, so that it can be done in a logical and reasonable way that makes it sustainable, because I think that's really important. You don't want to just throw something out there and then no one can live up to it. So I think this is a very good idea, and I think it will focus us, and I think that's important. And once we kind of get our herd immunity going, this would be a real positive thing to work on. And I think that will be really good for the district to have something to work in this area. So thank you.
Trustee Land.
So I'm going to just combine basically what Leah and Linda said. First of all, ladies, you did an awesome job. That was a great presentation and very, very thoughtful. I do know that you guys are, you all are working on this, and it is part of what our district is doing. I think my question is to the administration is, can we, I don't want to just pass this and say, okay, we passed it, how great. I want to see us pass it and do something about it and do what you're there for, be it resolved. And I think that's what Linda was trying to capture. Trustee Dwyer was really trying to capture the fact that we want to see action. We want to see the plan and what action can be done. So I guess I'm asking the administration is, if we pass this, is this going to be something that we work on and make a priority in our district?
So let me just make just a few comments. I think you know that Dwayne Taylor is taking the lead on this area, and Yancey Hawkins is heavily involved as well. It's committee driven by these talented young ladies in some ways, is doing a lot of work. We've got the sustainability folks that you passed, those positions that are important, and then also that we have an energy or a sustainability audit that the county is undertaking to sort of to your point, Ms. Lee Dwyer, to identify, okay, where's the biggest bang for the buck? Where can we have the most impact? You know, and you know, so you know, it's also, you know, the construction that we do, the expectations there. So we're eager to come back to this with more information as we go forward. And I think at the board's pleasure, we'd be happy to report on sort of the progress we made, remind folks about what we did in 2017 around sustainability, board policies, what we're talking about doing now, and what we hope to see in the future.
Trustee Hanley.
Yeah, that's many of the points that I was going to make. I mean, we need to build off what, you know, I think we've done a sizable amount of work in this area. I mean, from going back to, you know, when we started with solar panels for almost everywhere we could imagine that they were effective in the district. And you know, we talked extensively, you know, through Measure M about making our construction, you know, very energy efficient and sustainable. And we worked very hard on that with the architects and with the construction consultants. And, you know, I think our buildings, you know, we replaced a lot of windows and we've done a lot of work in this area. It's not to say there's not more to be done, but I think we need to make, you know, we need to build on things that we've already started and look in the areas where, you know, we can continue to make the biggest impact. And you know, I think Linda's idea of, you know, where are our priorities and where can we continue to, you know, make the best progress in this area, because this is a sizable list, And, you know, there's some areas on this where, you know, I don't think there's much we can do as a school district. And there's other areas where there's significant things that we can do as a school district. So, you know, I think we need to, you know, we need to be thoughtful and reflective about it and look at it in that way. But I think you know, I commend them, the students for bringing it forward, and it was a very good presentation. And I'll certainly support passing the resolution.
Okay, I got one comment. It actually was a great presentation. And I do believe there is a climate emergency. What I would think, if you were to take this list and you could not put a horizon on there in terms of how long you would work on this, because dealing with our climate and fixing all the ills would be a continuous process, you know, because, you know, we're never going to get back to pristine, purely safe. And I would think, you know, it would be nice, and this is strictly looking at it, that if this is as important as it seems to be, and everybody says it is, we ought to get that plan, and we ought to at least publish a report annually about what we did, you know, what we're going to do and what we did, what we think is important, and how we're going to tackle it. Now, I don't want to turn that into a department, you know, the Department of Report Writing, but I do think we could someone could put together a report to the public about what we've done to deal with the climate emergency. So I'll leave that there and let everybody kind of chew on that. Trustee Lee Dwyer.
Okay, oops, did I do it? Okay, there were two little things I forgot that of the cities that you mentioned, there's 2 in our district that were not listed, and that's San Bruno and Hillsborough. So you need to go to their city councils, because then you could say after we pass it, look, your school district passed it. So that might be something for you to get like more momentum going, because Hillsborough and San Bruno are not on your list. So just want to throw that out there.
Can I make a motion? I'd like to make the motion to pass resolution 2021-20, Declaration of Climate Emergency.
I can second.
Okay, so the motion was by Trustee Land, and Andrade Zuniga, you made the second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How do you vote, Trustee?
Yes.
Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustee Lee Dwyer?
I vote yes on resolution 2021-22, because that's what's on the agenda. Not 20.
I have an old one then.
Yeah,
I
I've
have
got
today's.
2021-20.
Yeah.
On the resolution itself, it says 2021-22.
That's the other one. That's the AP.
Declaration of Climate Emergency.
Okay, we're voting on the climate emergency, and somebody will sort out those numbers.
Okay, yeah, because I'm on the current one. I vote yes.
That's all that counts. Thank you. Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. And the climate emergency declaration passes 5-0. Thank you.
Now go see Hillsborough and San Bruno.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. We're going to move on now. J3 resolution and I'll leave the number out, denouncing hate crimes and bigotry targeting Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders.
Of approval.
Second.
Thank
Want
you.
to talk about it?
Thank you. I vote yes.
Okay, well, apparently I put the thing on autopilot. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, you voted yes. Trustee Land?
Yes.
Trustees Lee Dwyer?
Yes.
Trustee Hanley?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. And
Can I just say something real quick? I just want to read a quote by Grace Lee Boggs, an Asian American activist. It says, "The only way to survive is by taking care of each other." And this is a perfect example of that. So thank you, everyone.
Can I ask a favor too? I know in the introductions, we had comments from our CSEA group and our union. And I'd like to see maybe the language be changed to include them to endorse the resolution as well.
We already, did they, I think we already passed. It's already written,
No, I know, I understand that, but can it be?
but did they endorse?
They did, but they think they're gonna do their own now because we didn't
Okay.
have time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because it would have been nice if we were unified.
Yeah, and I just thanks Greg for partnering on this with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We're through construction K into Division of Human Resources, Personnel Actions L1.
We have personnel actions and addendum and a couple of recognitions. We have Winifredo or Wayne Rosset, accountant at the district office, retiring effective June 30th after 19 years and 10 months in the district. And Joanne Boston Zaglu, instructional aide at Burlingame High School, is retiring after 20 years and 2 months in the district effective September 1st.
Okay, is there a motion on the personnel actions and addendum?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, Trustee Hanley made the motion, Trustee Land made the second, Trustee Andrade Zuniga. How do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Land,
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer,
Yes.
Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, and it passes 5-0. L2, approve the MOU between the district teachers and the District Teachers Association and the high school district.
This is a continuation of an agreement we have had for a couple of years where part-time teachers can substitute and use the earnings towards their out-of-pocket for health and welfare benefits.
Are there any changes to the original agreement?
No?
Okay,
Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we got Trustees Lees Dwyer with the motion, Trustee Hanley with the second, Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Trustee Land,
Yes.
Trustees Lees Dwyer,
Yes.
Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, and that motion passes 5-0. We'll move to L3, the MOU between the District Teachers Association and the high school district.
This is also a continuation of agreement we've had for a few years where retired teachers can come back and substitute and use those earnings towards health and welfare benefits if they continue with the district.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Okay. Trustee Andrade Zuniga made the motion, Trustee Land made the second. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Trustee Land,
Yes.
Trustee Lees Dwyer,
Yes.
Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes, and it passes 5-0. L4.
This is a public hearing and presentation for the San Mateo Union High School District Teacher Association contract proposal for 21-23.
Okay, I'm going to open a public hearing. Ms. Talkley, do we have anyone who wishes to speak? Okay, I will close the public hearing. L5 has been pulled. Then we go to board operations, I believe, and P1, the approve the established graduation dates.
Do you want to make one edit to this? Peninsula High School would like to move their graduation date to May 25th in order to take advantage of the contractor that we're looking to use for the graduation ceremonies. Because they are going to be partnering with Middle College to have it on that same day.
It's a good idea.
So we'll be able to take advantage of the company to do graduation for both Middle College Peninsula on the Tuesday. And then the other mention is the principals wanted us to be sure that, you know, depending on county health conditions, some of these graduations may take longer because they're trying to move through all of the students. So the timing may change. It may take, like Hillsdale says all day. Some of them may also, choose to take longer to make sure that they have in-person time for all of their graduates if that's available to them. So otherwise, that one change for the date for Peninsula is the only other.
Okay. We need an action. Or can we do this, a recommended motion? We need a motion.
Yes, so moved.
Okay.
As amended.
As amended.
Okay, the trustee Land made the motion. Trustee Lee's Dwyer, I think you got in there on the second. Trustee Andrade Zuniga, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Trustee Land, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lee's Dwyer,
Yes.
Trustee Hanley,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, and that gets us through that item down to P2.
We brought this policy back, was moved last meeting. Dr. Kempke can provide a quick summary.
So most of the changes involved here are CSBA updates, some language around retroactive diplomas and honorary diplomas. The other suggestion here, in collaboration with Angela Taylor, who's with us, she's made some suggestions around the graduation requirements for the adult school. And I include this in one of my updates to just have those credit requirements more in line with, and so that we're more competitive for our adult school with others in the area. But she's here to answer any other questions about that one as well. And then there was one correction in one of the updates. The state requirements for math is 2 courses. We require 3 courses for math. So we had to make that edit as well from the last, from when you saw it the last time.
So
go ahead, Trustee Hanley.
Can I ask a question? So it looked like when I went through it, the adult school reduced the credits from 200 to 180.
That's correct.
So why does that make us more competitive?
Well, good evening, everyone. President Griffin, board members, and Dr. Skelly. We are the highest among our partner adult schools. Everyone else in our consortium, meaning all the other adult schools, are 180 and 185. And if we compare ourselves to the wider region in the Bay Area, we are extremely high. Santa Clara County, Santa Clara Adult School, for example, has 150 credit unit requirement. Castro Valley, 140. So we just see this as a roadblock. Adult ed is here really to provide an alternative for the adult student. The adult student is very different from the K-12 student. Again, our students are parents and they're workers. They may wear many hats. And this is now a roadblock. What we find in our school is it's just too difficult sometimes for our students to have to complete 200 units. It takes a long time. And all we're asking really is to reduce our electives. We are not compromising the core academic content of our curriculum. We aren't compromising the rigor. It's merely to reduce our electives. And all of us adults have plenty of experience in different areas when we get to an older age that will equate an elective. So the ask is simply to just make it a little easier for our student. Our student is at the center, and that's really the primary reason, is to reduce roadblocks and be competitive.
But we transfer a significant number of high school students to adult school each year, right?
Well, not significant. No, I think so far since I've been there, maybe 10%. It's a low number. I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that. But also, once a student comes to our school, they will just have to finish, whatever requirements that they need to. Again, it's really the electives that we're asking to reduce. We are still offering, the 4 years of English, the 3 years of math. We are still high as far as units in that regard. But again, it's just, the electives that we want to reduce.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess I'll make one.
Yes. Trustees Lee's Dwyer.
I think we should do it. I think that we should be aligned with the consortium, and we need to recognize that the students in the adult school are working they're working jobs and they're going to school. It's an incredible burden. A lot of them are raising children. They're trying to they've got and COVID. They have so many impediments, and I don't want to be an impediment. And I think 200 is a very big. I don't want someone to quit because they get right there and like, oh, I can't do 20 more units. I don't want that to happen. So I would, and the experts are bringing that to us. So I support the change.
I think it's a good idea, particularly since it sounds like, if I understand, it's really the electives and not the, which sometimes can just drag on and they're just kind of going through that, kind of like trying to get those final units. So, anything we can do to get them educated and make their life easier, that's a win-win.
And currently, to your point, Dr. Griffin, we are requiring 75 elective units be completed. So it's really excessive, especially as you compare to our other partner adult schools. It's excessive. And I think it's a reasonable solution to request a reduction in those. Again, we're not requesting a reduction in the academic core classes.
Dr. Griffin, I'm going to make a motion to approve this.
Okay.
Second. Oh.
Well, it goes on the.
It'll go on consent the next time.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about it.
Do that.
Okay. Well, then we'll by nodding our heads, we'll move that to consent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
One more Dr. Griffin, and I guess I do get an honorary degree. So P3, the approval to increase the Board of Trustees stipend. We're asking that the stipend be increased by 5% retroactive to July 1, 2020. Is anybody going to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
Awkward.
So is there a second? Are we gonna?
I'll second.
Okay. As you rub your eyes and your forehead. Okay, we got a motion by Trustee Hanley and Trustee Lands. A second, Trustee Andrade Zuniga. How do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Land.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take that as a yes, and you mean it, and not a. Anyway, Trustees Lees, Dwyer. How do you
Yes.
vote?
I guess yes.
Trustee Hanley.
Yes.
Okay, I'll vote yes.
Someone should probably, for anyone who doesn't participate in these meetings regularly, do they know what the stipend is? I think that's kind of important. What is it currently?
It's like 650, something like that.
$650
So we're
a
increasing
month.
it like 30 some dollars.
Yeah, I
mean,
think that
it's
anyone
not
who's
like,
on, yeah,
it's not
anyone
like
on this
hundreds of
call
dollars.
should understand that it's $630 a month.
Can I say something real quick about
Yeah.
the stipend? One of the things that we've been really seeing in different groups of people of color that run for public office, or that we've been trying to create plans and things. And one of the things that prevents a lot of people from running for office is the inability of being able to work and do something like this. So although this is really awkward to vote on this, and I'm glad that the community knows how much it is and things like that. For some positions, I wish it was a sustainable way for people to work. I mean, there's people that have to quit their jobs to run for office or to have a position in public office. Once you get to the city councils and board of soups and things like that. And so again, this could be a deterrent for people not running, but it's also a little awkward. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
The stipend rates were set like back in the 1980s. And they haven't been adjusted since the 1980s. So they're like ridiculously low.
I was going to say, I really appreciate what Lihia said, because I had Joe Smetana tell me about this. He actually proposed this law a million years ago and told me why. And I was like, okay, I get it now. I originally didn't. And Lihia, thank you for explaining it as well.
Okay. So I think we took the vote on that, and everybody reluctantly voted to increase their stipend. So any other items of business here?
I have one. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so we didn't get to complete our closed session at all.
Yes.
So I think that's something that we need to do. I also think that if they can get that contract in order, that may need to come back to us more quickly than April 15th. It needs some language changes, and it just, yeah, and I'd like to see the legal opinion, but I don't want to I've held that up actually, and I don't want to do that if it hampers the ability of the principals in the district to get these graduation things organized. So should we have like a quick little special meeting in order to do these two items, these two things, our closed session, which is important, and approve that contract? I hate to be the person that suggests more meetings, but it's late. It's after 9 now. And we need, I think we need to, that contract needs to come back sooner rather than later.
Mr. Hawkins, what's your take on the 15th? Is this, I mean, I'll tell you that there's not much administrative work going to happen next week. I mean, I'm really encouraging people to take days off.
Okay.
Mr. Hawkins?
Dr. Skelly, I think that Trustee Lees-Dwyer's issue was more with the form of the contract and some of the legalese in the contract, and not necessarily to the general cost or that. And so if the board is okay, I could offer basically a letter of intent that says we will bring it to the board on the 15th for approval, if that gives them like a higher level of, and work with them and bring it on the 15th. If the board would be comfortable with that, I'm happy to do that to hopefully move this forward and at the same time address the trustees' concerns on just a few of those legal issues.
There are, yeah, because there are terms in it that really need to be changed or kind of redone. So that's really what it is. It's not that we would not do it. It's how it's structured, and the cost structure within the contract itself needs to be, I think, rewritten. But they do have county council working on it, so that's good.
Yeah, county council has reviewed the contract.
I think. Well, why don't we do this? What if we assume that we can wait till the 15th, and if Mr. Hawkins hears something different, then we'll ask for a special meeting.
Okay.
On that.
Okay.
Okay, with regard to a closed session, we can start the next one, because it seems as though, and with the amount of stuff we have to discuss, that we don't start early enough. So either the alternatives are that we start 30 minutes before whatever time it should be, or that we will have to come back maybe after a session and finish whatever we don't do in closed session. So what is
I don't think coming back after the meeting is a good idea. It's too difficult. People have worked all day. It's not a good idea. I think we need to start earlier.
I would be.
If we're going to do that.
Can Greg do the 4:30? Okay.
No.
I don't anticipate a long closed session. I mean, next time. So I think if you commit to 5, and the regular meeting starts at 7, which shouldn't be a long meeting, that you can have at least an hour of closed session time.
So technically, I mean, point of order, we probably could resume to closed session because we never completed our closed session. So
Correct.
we can continue the meeting now in closed session if we chose to. However, Peter, you're absolutely right. I'm exhausted. I hate these long meetings and I don't want to keep doing this because any vote that I do,
Bob is not looking great.
So why don't we do 5?
You're not looking great.
Let's block out 5 to 5:30. Let's block out 5 to 5:30 of the next closed session. Nothing else. We're gonna have our time.
Let's,
And then if we have to go a little over, that'll work. But let's just say a solid half hour.
my suggestion is that meeting gets set up, Laura, with Bob being the host.
Yeah.
So that he has complete control over that meeting, that part of the meeting.
But if we put it on the front end, we'll
do it if it's on the front end.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't have court that day, so I'm okay.
Okay. Well, I won't have a shot that day. I'm done here.
It's good, Dr. Griffin.
I know you won't be Dr. Griffin that day.
The next meeting is on the 15th.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in LA, so I will be reporting from LA. So I need to have that little piece of paper that says I'm going to be, put outside my room or whatever.
You may not need it because we're still operating under the COVID.
Yeah, nobody's putting the sign on their front door.
You're on location.
All right.
Okay, our work here is done. Everybody have a
Never
good
done.
Bob, feel better.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night.